second piece go, this whole stream is demonetized.
No. They changed that rule.
Wait,
really?
what?
Yeah, they changed that. They changed that like a year ago. I don't think that affects monetization.
Okay.
Damn, Soy Pill, you're getting one-upped already.
Do we want shout-outs to you guys, or are we going to not have that?
Yeah, until they start saying very negative things about everybody.
Which I got people in my chat.
It's already cluttered.
I don't think it's going to happen.
People. Yeah.
I don't think that's
I got people in my chat saying Hutch go live. I don't know if you have already.
What the fuck?
Welcome to Live Learn, everyone. The only show with zero technical problems. I'm the Soy Pill. With me, as always, IRI, Hutch, and Pisco, and we have two special guests today. First, it's Vadim.
Hey, guys. Also known as Hey, it's Vadim. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you. It's a pleasure and a sheer sensation to be here.
And I will make no secret that I am a huge Vadim fan, formerly Creationist Cat. So, you guys, he's still there. His YouTube still exists, and videos are coming out soon. Also with us
soon, as in a few weeks. Absolutely. Finally.
Yeah, soon TM asterisk.
A long time, but here we are.
Also with us is Ogre Boy. Ogre Boy, tell us about yourself.
Hey, so I stream on Twitch most nights at 7 p.m. Pacific. Usually talk about Gaza, Dem leadership, crazy shit that Trump's up to. Mostly politics, a little bit of other topics.
Very liberal. Very liberal.
Yes, incredibly liberal. One of the most perfect guests you could have for the show. Other stuff thrown in too, but it's a lot of genre breaking content where a middle-aged white guy with no hair yaps into a microphone and a camera. Yeah.
Woo! Happy to have you.
Thank you.
I highly recommend it. I think he's pretty entertaining to watch, quite honestly.
Right on. Well, that remains to be seen.
We'll
be the judge of this.
I went ahead for the ball cap tonight to kind of keep the baldness on the screen down to a minimum.
Right.
Well, you have Bernie in the back. Is he technically bald? What do you think about Bernie? Does he get the pass?
In the past? No.
Does he get the pass?
Oh, does he get the bald pass?
Yeah.
He's still. I think he's still rocking a partial comb over. So
yeah, I think if he had that hair like in his 50s or something, that would pass as bald. But like, good lord, he's what, in his 80s now? Give the man a break. That man
he doesn't look a day past 69.
Now, before we get started, I want to ask Ogre a question. How did you feel when Hutch joined your illustrious ranks? Did that feel like appropriation? Did that feel like solidarity?
I'm very bald inclusive, so it's usually just a net neutral. If it feels good, do it, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's a good life. It's a good life. I wake up in the morning and I just fucking just go. Like I don't do my hair. I just start going.
I mean, I hit my shot every day. That's just a personal choice.
I want to say two things about that. Okay, one is, I like your baldness took me by surprise. I thought you were doing kind of like just fine hair wise, and then all of a sudden, like one day, just whoosh, gone. And I think it looks good for you too. That's the other thing I want to say. I think it does kind of complement your edge.
Hutch, your Twitch donation animation where it's like you with the hair going, like your hair looks great there. How old is that?
That was good.
Well, I had my hair long enough to do a strategic comb over. Like I have some male pattern baldness, like not crazy, but like some it's noticeable. And I had enough hair to hide it. And then I went to a barber and I fucking showed him like a picture of like fucking David Beckham or something. I was like, make me look like this. And because he has like the high fade. And I said, but I told him, I was like, don't do it if you don't think you can still give me enough hair to hide the fucking baldness. And he's like, no, I got you. And he didn't get me. It was like, I went home and I tried for 45 minutes to find a way to make it work. And I was like, I have to shave my head. There's like nothing else I can do here. And then
I didn't know this backstory. This is tragic.
No, I like being bald, so it's fine. No.
I think that there's something admirable about just like knowing when it's your time and going for it. Like seriously, I mean, like the alternate is going with like who's that guy who was like the DGGer of the year? You know who I'm talking about?
Stale 2000. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Punished hairline of all time.
That's my boy. Don't you go after Stale.
Hey,
Hey,
look,
Redditors
I'm
lead a
not,
hard
but
life.
I think
okay?
I'm just
He's my
telling it
celebrity.
like it is when it comes to his hairline, dude. Sorry, I don't know if you're out there, dude, but you know, you must know. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we get into anything contentious, we're all on the same side here. We're all on the same side here. I thought
we're all voting for Democrats.
We're all well. Please go hold it. I thought we'd talk about the Super Bowl halftime show, which has the Republicans in quite the tizzy because I think there was some guy and he spoke this language. It's called Spanish, and they're just not cool with that. What did you guys see it? What did you think? Also, who cares about the game?
Before specifically we get into that, like I feel like guys, like woke is fully back. Like there were woke commercials, you know, with like a racist white guy looking at his Hispanic neighbor suspiciously, and then his Hispanic neighbor like
they loved each other. Yes,
cuts a tree with a chainsaw, and then the white guy looks at him and he's like, you know what? Maybe racism is bad. He didn't say that, but you could tell he thought that. And then the Hispanic girl,
they found
maybe
the cat.
They can garden. Maybe I can't hire this guy as a gardener and a migrant worker. That's what he thought.
But no, then we had this halftime show where he just kept singing in Spanish. Like he just fully committed the whole time. I was like, fuck yeah. And yeah, did you guys get the same vibes? Like it feels like,
well, I don't know. I didn't really hear him saying in Spanish. It just kind of felt like bad lip syncing. You guys talking about the halftime show, right?
Ooh, I see what you're doing here. The other halftime show.
Oh, yeah, my bar didn't play that.
Oh, okay.
They were just blasting Kid Rock.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. We just had the white guy. No, but I totally agree with that sentiment, Hutch. Like, I felt that for the first time, I could breathe as a Latino American when I was looking at the because it wasn't just this whole like self-awareness, anti-wokeness. And it really just felt like an awesome show objectively. When you like looked at the performance, it was better this year. Like there's some stinkers in the past, few years or whatever. But yeah, I felt like objectively you had to give your respect to Bad Bunny.
Can I give my unironic take that's going to make me sound Republican? I did not like that he spoke Spanish the whole time.
Oh my God.
I was like, I didn't. I was like, I wish I could understand it a little more. Like, that's it, though. I also was not a fan of his music. And also, following up Kendrick, like Kendrick Lamar was just, I think, blew that out of the water.
Wait,
but,
are you serious? You didn't like that he's nuts.
I think
you don't like that he spoke Spanish?
No, just the whole time. I was like, yeah, like I can't get. It's a combination of I don't listen to this music, and also I don't know what he's saying, so I can't even get into the lyrics.
God.
So I just didn't love it.
I think for this specific political moment, though, it is a really wonderful thing to see.
Oh yeah,
someone, like I think because I sort of like would agree maybe if we had like several years in a row or a few years in a row where that was just a thing, but each year kind of it's like they try and make it its own unique thing, and yeah, just because of all the ice bullshit and whatnot, it's
what
a good statement for the NFL to make, who are not always like extremely cool when it comes to racial matters in the past, at least,
Yeah. No, for the moment, I like it a lot.
I was just gonna say, I think I got a little emotional watching it. I mentioned on my stream when I was live just a little bit ago, but I have people in my life that have a Hispanic background, and they feel very like black-pilled about America right now, and so it wasn't just like it was the fact that the performance was so like joyful. Like the whole thing, like I've never seen a halftime show like that before. Like it was just nothing but smiles, dancing, like not just smiles and grins, but like big smiles. And it felt like that was the exact, to piggyback off of what Vadim was saying, it felt like in the current moment, that was like the perfect antidote. And I think it's, I know that meant a lot to some people in my life, like a lot. Like they were crying.
Thank you, Hutch.
They got also peace code.
It was meaningful. Yes, we need more joyful warriors in the movement, and I totally relate to that.
Yeah,
I want to say I was disappointed. I wanted it to be more queer, more Hispanic. I wanted it to go way further. There was only two dudes like rubbing on each other. I needed way more than that to trigger the right. If we're gonna go for it, let's go all in.
Yeah, Guy, they had a bunch of people calling it gay before I watched. All the Republicans like, oh, this halftime show's gay, and all I saw was big booty Latinas gyrating. and I didn't see any gay guys, and I
Some
was
people
really
speculate.
upset. I agree.
Some people speculate Pedro Pascal might be gay.
Yeah, probably.
Is
Well,
Bad Bunny gay? I know nothing.
No, he's not gay. His songs are about getting women. But I just have to say,
Ricky Martin.
Ricky Martin was there, and Ricky Martin looked great, by the way.
Pisco, in our defense, I didn't understand a single word that man said.
Oh shit! Well, you know what? You need to learn Spanish, right? Spanish is a beautiful language.
I know a good amount.
It's a language. Oh, do you? Oh, do you? Are you Hispanic, by the way?
Yeah.
I thought you were Jewish.
Oh,
no, there's nothing wrong with that.
I can't be two things.
Can't
Why
be
you
both?
Jewish like that?
Did I say the hard J? I'm sorry. No, but I'm curious about
I thought you were
Ogre's
Jewish.
I'm curious. Listen, George Santos is Jewish, and so I can be Jewish. I'm curious Ogre's take, because to add a little context as well, Nick Fuentes had a bit of a take on the show, and he said that it was actually pretty good, and that all the people sewing out about it were kind of playing into this culture of right wings not having any music, not having any like life to them, and like being kind of cringe. So, Ogre, what is your take? Is Fuentes right?
First of all, that's a hell.
Do
of a
you agree
setup.
with Nicholas Fuentes?
Yeah. Yes or no?
Do you agree? Yes or no? I didn't know what he said. I don't really care about what Fuentes had to say. I didn't. To be honest, I didn't watch it. Not a big sports ball guy. I'm more of a WWE kind of guy.
Sorry, the question was, do you agree with Nick Fuentes?
That the right wing doesn't have any culture?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes. There you go.
I
was just
clip
gonna
it and ship it. Get it out there on the airwaves.
Flip it, and don't forget this part, because we're about to see culture in action. Do you guys watch the real halftime show?
Oh,
careful with the DMCA stuff.
Okay, I'll play for 10 seconds.
Don't even do that.
Is the
Don't
sound
even do
coming
10
out?
seconds. Don't even do 10 seconds.
Can you guys hear the sound?
Right.
Okay, that's enough.
I was just freaking out.
You're gonna out DMCA the stream 100% if you do that. Just so you know.
I personally would like to issue an apology on behalf of all white people. We're not bringing our best, and also I think it's really fucking funny that I didn't see all of it, but I saw clips, and just about every person who was featured is maybe one or two didn't fall into this, but just about everybody in one way or another heavily bites off of mostly like Black culture. And it just, you have like a lot of like fledgling Nazis watching this show, and just people who are way into whiteness, and yet all of the entertainment is like a knockoff of a bad knockoff of Black entertainment. So I think that is kind of ironic.
Did you see where the Fuentes, Clavicular, Andrew Tate, and all these like guys went to the club and listened to the Ye song HH? It does feel that there's like an element of glorification of certain of these figures who are meant to represent this like comeback against the woke, this kind of standing up for white culture, masculinity. And it's a very diverse palette. Half of them are very obviously queer, they're brown, and so I do find that there's a reluctance or almost a revulsion to some of these old boomer memes or music, and so when they see that as a reflection, they reject it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sorry, I don't have much to kind of say. And I was actually sorry, I got like a little sidetracked because I don't want to disregard what you said, but I actually like just remembered this is kind of like a very weird fun fact about myself. I thought to myself like, oh yeah, I actually opened up for Kid Rock in the I think it was around 2006 or 2005. I used to host this thing called Punk Rock Heavy Metal Karaoke, which is kind of like the first band, kind of the first band in America to kind of like make that a thing. There's a lot these days, a lot of live shows that do that, right? And we it still goes on in this place called Arlene Grocery in New York City. But we would do like a lot of shows. Like we did weird shows. We opened up for Andrew WK. We opened up for Naughty by Nature one time, just random ass gigs. And we opened up for Kid Rock. And man, like that crowd was like, I did not know. This was New York City. Maybe I already said that. And I just did not know that there were that many kind of like just dumbass hicks in the tri-state area. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're around.
That was the majority of. Not everybody was like that. There were some, the cool.
Some of them, I assume, were good people.
But yeah, my most vivid memory was after the show. I was backstage. Like we were like all partying, and I was wrecked at this point. And I was talking with him, and I forget what I was talking about, but just like at a certain point, I mean, like I don't think that like I was that bad, but maybe I was. He basically like looked at me and he's like, man, you're like, he said something like, you're freaking me out, man. And I think the reason why he said that actually is because there were like 5 hot girls around that I was talking to, and I think he just kind of like wanted me away from them. So like the moment that I said that, this like big ass bouncer came over and was like, excuse me, please step away from Mr. Rock.
Shit. So you think he was trying to like fuck with your game?
Yeah, I think he was just like calling in like the big guys to like cock block, basically. And,
just to be clear, the women were not underage, right? Because Kid Rock does have that song.
No.
Some call it statutory. I call it mandatory. Is that what the lyric is?
I think they were all of age. They definitely looked at.
Is that what you just said?
Well, okay, Hush. He wasn't IDing all of them. I mean,
yeah, exactly. I
poor choice of words. That's all.
But there was a mutual friend who ended up being there. This like model chick who was on a cover of Rolling Stone with
Jennifer Aniston.
But she did like I'm forgetting her name now. I used to see her around. Ridiculously gorgeous, of course. She was in like a few like Skinamax type movies.
Interesting.
But anyway, I didn't know her that well, but I know that particular girl was definitely of age, but who knows about the rest? So anyway,
who knows?
And that's the takeaway.
Natural segue.
This Epstein stuff. Let me tell you, some of the files are really fucking suspicious. And wait, is that one of our topics, by the way?
Sure. The Epstein
Get in
files
there.
are always.
Get in there.
Because I do want to have a couple. I have a couple little thoughts here. I think that people are perhaps drawing the wrong conclusions from these different files. I don't really know what I'm talking about in terms of what conclusions those are, but it feels like everyone who's saying that Pizzagate has been corroborated, they're like probably the farthest away from correct. I think that there's some fucked up shit that happened, but I just don't trust. I think that there's a wide scale manipulation happening from everyone right now. And so I'm just on guard right now for a lot of these narratives. And particularly the administration right now, their posture on some of these files has been completely contradictory. And we just had, I don't know, Guy, if you saw this, Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey come out after them having access to some of these redacted files, that they're straight up like redacting the names of people who are prominent, people who are accused, even though that's not one of the bases of redaction. So I think it's unfortunate, and Democrats should bounce.
They said there's 6 guys who had their photos redacted or something for no reason with no explanation. So clearly something has gone wrong here.
Well, it's funny you talk about the Pizzagate corroborated, and it's like you read, it's like, see, look, they ordered pizza.
They said
see,
pizza.
Look, they ordered walnuts and almonds, and this is code for like children of this like flavor or whatever. And to be fair, it could be the case, but then you read the emails, and it's like, hi, I really like that 10-year-old you sent me. And it's like, well, okay, like they're not talking in code. Like they just had sex with children. Like,
But I mean, also Kash Patel came out. I think the story hit AP today, basically saying like, no, we looked into it, and there's no evidence of any kind of sex ring, so it's fine. Like, everybody can go home. It's fine. There's nothing to see here. Move along.
He said there was no evidence that he trafficked minors to other individuals. That's, I think, what Kash Patel said, like, based on the information that he knew. And a lot of people are looking at that and saying, well, A, did he couch it in enough qualifiers to be free from any kind of perjury charge in the future, saying, well, I didn't see that information. But at a bare minimum, the sort of optics and the PR shit has been disastrous. And there's blood in the water here. And there's something fucked up about it. I don't know that everything inculpatory is being said on email, but it doesn't seem like everyone has the same level of OPSEC, given some of the suspicious shit that's being sent.
I mean,
well, and then
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, how can we? I'm not necessarily. No, I am very skeptical of what Kash Patel is saying. I'm basically like just asking, like, how on earth can we trust, of all people, that guy and his word? Is like, are there? Did you say something about how Ro Khanna actually saw unredacted files?
Yeah,
okay,
they saw.
That's news to me. So what has he said, and what exact? I mean, obviously, there's way too many things to go over. He's only
He's only been there for correct. Yes, so there's only like limited ways in which they can access it. And someone, I don't know if this is like really good pencil math, but someone's like, it would take 7 years to comb through all these based on the systems that they've given us to do. I don't know if that's true or accurate, but it is true that like the system, according to them, is archaic and odd. And so they're dropping some innuendos that one of the redacted persons is a very prominent person, but we don't have a ton yet. Like, it's taken a lot of time. These are millions of files. People don't understand that like it is a shit ton of work to consistently redact even like 8 to 10,000 files. Like, that's a huge fucking job. We are talking about millions of files, and a lot of the redactions are inconsistent, and people are drawing like the wrong conclusions from certain documents. So it's going to take people, if they want to go to the redacted files and find like some shit, it's going to be a huge fucking job to do that. And in the meantime, the unredacted files, people are drawing wild conclusions. Like, for example, the email that came out, or the draft document that like announced his death or whatever. It was a day before. Well, sorry. If you work in a law office, if you ever worked in law, whatever, you work off of templates, and it's totally plausible that the person like used a template from the day before, or the template didn't update. And so, it's going to take a lot of work to get through all this shit. And they're not sending their best.
Guys, this piece go to that note. Like, for any conspiracy, ask yourself, are they this fucking stupid? Right? Like, yeah, we killed Epstein, we orchestrated it all, and we had months to redact all the files, but we really forgot about the one that said when he died, the one where we like that completely shows that we killed him. Like, come on, please. Like, the conspiracies happen, but like, if you can ask a question that just completely blows it up in 10 seconds, like, you obviously are stretching, and that one is one of the dumbest ones I've seen.
What do you guys think of the what I would call flowchart bullshit from Mehdi Hassan and the I've Had It podcast lady, who complained that Biden and Merrick Garland had this for 4 years and didn't do anything about it? Pisco, I'm curious about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, that's so fucking dumb. I hate it because on the one hand, you have some evidence that they were actively looking into it during that time period, and on the other hand, I think that this is not a matter for the Department of Justice to handle in the main course of things. This is a political decision that needed to be made, and I don't agree that the Biden administration should have tactically like deployed the Department of Justice to, I don't know, get 500 attorneys to do this kind of work, to release documents for a particularly political message. I think it's a disgrace. That would be political interference with the Department of Justice. And it's exactly why I respect Biden's decision to appoint Merrick Garland. And so anyone who's talking about that shit, like, oh, they had the files the whole time, I think they just don't have a respect for the rule of law that I do, or they don't think it matters. And I, of course, think it matters.
Well, they don't appreciate the president keeping a distance from the DOJ and letting the DOJ speak through indictments only, which is how the public trusts them in the first place. They're completely ignoring what we talked about at the end of the last podcast, that the public needs to trust what the DOJ is saying in the first place.
And also, I'm sorry, and I know I'm speaking a lot. I'll let you guys talk. There just isn't a smoking gun proof that shows Trump's criminality in all this. There isn't. And the stuff about his connections to Epstein, we knew about right before the election. Like, it was known that he was genuinely aware. Like, he gave that comment to the New York Post or New York Magazine or whatever, which, come on, what did that comment mean? We all knew he was best friends with Epstein. And so there's just no smoking gun here in terms of the inculpability of specifically Donald Trump. And so I think it's a gross departure from the standards of the DOJ to do this.
I have to just interject here because just so much is redacted. How can you really make that determination from what we haven't seen?
Well, no. Sorry. Wait. I just want to address that. So the claim is, look at all this shit that Biden had. The claim is being made from these people. We've seen all this stuff. They had it. And the fact that Merrick Garland didn't release it shows their incompetence. But of course, I'm judging that claim, the claim that there was something advantageous for them to drop in that moment and that it wouldn't have been a breach of norms. I'm not speculating as to what's not revealed. I'm speculating on the actual comment made by people on the basis of what has been revealed.
I mean, at a certain point, though, aren't you also talking about a matter of priorities or prioritizing? Yeah. It seems like if you did have a gorillion documents and the potential there to stop truly bad people, you would think, even if it was just at the DOJ level, there would be something there you would want to shift into that and persecute it just a little bit further. I haven't heard what I've had it podcast said about this. I understand the general theme of, why didn't they move on it more? It does seem like any leader, you can still essentially be hands off in trying to insist that someone takes that kind of a direction, but at the same time, you can make sure that people are actually looking into criminality, right?
Wait, so what does Biden do? Biden says, "Hey, Merrick, go release all the documents that are bad about Trump." What did you want him to do?
Well, it's not. No. It's not a matter of make sure you're looking specifically into the thing about Trump, but if the inverse of that would be to basically say don't touch it at all or something to that extent. I'm just saying.
But you don't have evidence that happened. That's a problem, right? Wait.
It's still it's not a matter of no evidence at all. It's still one of the most notorious international sex criminals, trafficking rings in the history of the modern era. Why would
we're losing the thread here? Hold on. Their complaint was not that Biden refused to investigate Donald Trump or Merrick Garland refused to investigate Donald Trump.
It's they didn't tell him to release stuff.
Yes, their complaint was that he didn't just release it to the public for political reasons to tank Donald Trump's chances of winning.
And the question is, what does that look like? Hey, can you tell people to go release documents that are bad about Trump? That is what people, not you specifically, we're commenting on other people. Well, I don't know if you guys have this opinion, but what does that communication from Biden look like? I want an answer to that question. What does that communication from White House to DOJ look like?
I think
just the perception. Oh, can I just add? Because the perception is why was Trump impeached for the first time, right? It's oh, hey, give me specific documents that specifically implicate my political opponent, and I want to release these, and also I'm using my position of power to levy that, right?
Yes, that is the basis for the first impeachment.
Right. So it's not quite how that went, though.
I think just by
was a phone call to an. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Vadim, go ahead.
I know it's not the same.
I think that just by whipping up more and more discussion of the situation, there's still such a close proximity that there's a lot that he clearly was in on. I think that at the very least, it would have just generated a lot more terrible word of mouth and just shat on his reputation all the more in the lead up to the election. So maybe it would not have had that desired consequence of just providing a what's the catching him red-handed, but still I think it could have done a lot.
But what's the communication, Vadim?
And then lastly, I think that I find it really hard to believe, maybe I'm wrong, that he could not have found a way to cut through a significant amount of that red tape. And even if you take Donald Trump out of it, it's still this matter that involves so many other people of consequence that deserve to.
Right, but that's not the no video. I grant that this is important. I think there should be a fucking special counsel or whatever. Yeah, if you want to grant that, but there's some reports that they were still investigating, and that in fact Trump shut down aspects of the investigation in one of their memos. But that's not the claim that I think people are pointing to. That I've had it, even though I haven't heard that statement or the Medi one. But I have heard this style of thing, which is they fucked over the election. They didn't really think that Trump was a fascist threat, because if they did, they would have released this information, that which presupposes that there's like insanely inculpatory information here about Trump, which there isn't yet so far that we've seen, other than what's already been known about the nature of their friendship and connection. And then two, that there ought to have been some sort of communication between Biden and the Department of Justice on this area. So I'm going to ask for the second time, what would you guys, if you agree with this position, what does that communication from the White House to the DOJ look like?
I don't think you have to actually even mention Trump's name at all. That's the point, right?
I'm asking what it looks like. Can you give an example of like what you would say if you were in charge? Like, hey, Mr. Merrick Garland, now we heard about this Epstein stuff, release stuff. What does it look like?
You can simply just ask for an update on the progress of processing that information and pursuing any related any found criminality. I mean, it literally can be that simple.
Wait,
you don't have to go. You don't have to turn around. Well, no, hold on. You don't have to turn around and basically say like, find the Trump dirt and process it and get it to me now. Everybody basically knew that he was friends for a long time. The idea that it has to be some sort of very illicit, get my political enemies taken care of thing. That's not, I don't think that's
But
really
that is what you're asking for, right? Like with a wink, wink, nod, nod. You want them to
No, I want every last one of the Epstein billionaire class, regardless of whoever they're friends with. I want all those motherfuckers behind bars.
Well, first of all, these documents were sealed by the courts, is my understanding, through September 2024, correct?
No, that's just a small clutch of them. I mean, the department it is yes, yeah. I mean, it is the case that the DOJ could have released a lot of this information, but the truth is, like, that's not what they do. The Department of Justice is not just supposed to dig up embarrassing information, bad information, and release it generally. This is a matter of public interest, and now it's a political matter. I do want disclosure. And yes, Biden could have ordered his Department of Justice to like disclose a bunch of stuff. That is true. But the implication is he should have, for purposes of damaging Trump politically. And that is improper.
What are the odds? What are the odds that Biden was even vaguely aware of the contents of like any of these Epstein files? Like, what are the odds that he was calling Merrick Garland and asking him for updates on individual prosecution? Zero, like literally zero. So the idea that
can I jump in? Hutch?
That's not really.
Wait. Well, Overboy, I want to say this because this is, I think, supporting maybe a little bit of your side of the argument. Sure, I'm not saying that they need to talk specifically to the DOJ and say, hey, do a hit piece on Donald Trump, a la impeachment one. However, with how much Trump and the campaign is hyping this up as, I'm going to release Epstein files, Democrats are coming for your children, I think it's kind of weird that they didn't press this just as a talking point more, just to say, hey, you were best friends with this guy. Hey, like, you're not press rate. Like, you clearly stepped back and said, this is a different claim, but I am saying, like, if we're going to criticize the Dems a little bit, which I'm always open to doing, I do think they should have pressed this issue a little harder, given how big of a platform it is for the Trump QAnon base to say, oh, we're coming after the pedos. The fact that you clearly, this is like the one thing that really has seemed to distance people from Trump. I think if you ever could divide MAGA, this is the closest we got. I think Democrats failed to capitalize on that during the election.
I mean, if Trump was able to hint and make innuendos about it in like the 2016 election, then it was very obvious that everybody else also knew about his connections to Epstein. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be a matter of political targeting or political assassination or whatever, but it could have been something to take away the fuel that Trump would have had going into 2024, like exactly what Soy is saying.
The only reason these files are released now is because Trump himself and his surrogates made this number one issue in the minds of voters. This is a monster of their own creating, and we're kind of diving.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but that's the point.
Just let me, hold on.
That could have been something that the Dems pushed.
Okay, hold on. So we touched on this last week, but I think that if you are interested in upholding what I believe to be like really important principles of this democracy, then I think it's a good thing that it probably didn't even occur to Biden or Merrick Garland to act in a way that would have been explicitly, overtly corrupt. The idea that we would selectively release documents pertaining to some kind of investigation that did not result in criminal charges. You say what you want about like everybody that was involved in that case, but I think it's a good thing that in this country, if the DOJ investigates you and they don't find enough evidence sufficient to charge you with a crime, they don't make it a habit of going out there and saying, well, we're going to release this information to the public anyways for like political gain. As soon as you start advocating for this to be the standard moving forward, you're just like, I just feel like you're hastening the demise of the republic by doing this kind of shit.
Not to mention, I don't think it is this political benefit that Soypil is really talking about there. I don't really believe that this was a major campaign issue. It was a major campaign promise to stir up the crazies in the MAGA sphere, but I don't think that a focus on Epstein was, or a lack of focus on Epstein was a significant reason why Kamala lost the election. And two, you have to imagine, right? You have to think about it. These people don't trust the Department of Justice in any respect. They are now in control of the Department of Justice. They have their people, Kash Patel, etc., who was at least in the helm of one of the major investigatory units, and they have, their president in, occupying the Oval Office, and they don't trust half of these disclosures coming out of the Department of Justice. So to the extent that anyone's major issue is Jeffrey Epstein, you are not going to capitalize on that by putting out releases of documents which are going to necessarily be taken as incomplete from the perspective of those people.
Real quick, wait, Pisco, I need to address Pisco because I think you misconstrued what I said. I'm not saying this was a major platform that the Democrats should have run on. I'm saying rhetorically, you could have used this to divide and have less turnout for the MAGA base by pointing out this and like making this a talking point and making them focus on it. Like, hey, you're calling me a groomer? Like, you're best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Like, that's it. I'm not talking about.
I almost think the vulnerability arrived like recently with like the way Ossoff is talking, which I agree is very good, is the debacle of how they've promised and now fucked up that promise. I'm not so sure that the vulnerability existed as in 2024, but you guys could probably disagree.
Also, there's a distinct possibility that doing the Jennifer Welsh, / Mehdi Hassan strat could have easily blown up in their faces and made Trump a martyr to normies, because they would have come out and they would have correctly said, the FBI, the DOJ, who has a strict policy of keeping this kind of information private, decided right before an election to release a bunch of evidence that all it is just hearsay and there's and the blah blah blah, and they could have easily capitalized on that and correctly pointed out, I might add, that this would have been insanely corrupt.
Yeah, but
for them to do
you
that.
don't have to look at it exclusively through the lens of like, well, lefty you don't like had this particular take on it. There's ways to take their existing. Well, that's why you brought it up. Flowchart shit that I've had it in Mehdi Hassan are doing. The idea being is that you could take somebody else's idea and figure out a way to make it a little bit better. You don't have to make it a targeted thing, like I said.
Make it better.
It could be just purely from the perspective of wanting to see abject criminality be pursued.
That's why we have a DOJ. That's why we have a DOJ. You don't release it to the public to establish criminality. You have a DOJ investigation.
Do you think there would have been any merit to or interest to the public good to finally maybe say one day release the information related to the JFK assassination?
Do you really think that
there is
figured out? Do you think do you really think that people would not have figured out that you were doing it for political reasons? You really don't think they would have connected those dots?
So
they would have
absolutely would be.
Like, oh, we're just trying to help solve crime.
It would be political.
But
Ogre's saying, isn't there a public interest sometimes in releasing investigations? Yes, sometimes there is. Yes, sometimes there's an interest in public releases of information. No doubt about that. But part of that public interest now is in correcting a lot of misinformation that occurred. And again, you're speaking about the context of an election season. What's the rush in that respect? You talk about abject criminality.
It could have been something done in year one.
Abject criminality. Where is your evidence that the Department of Justice under Biden wasn't investigating this as crimes? You are undermining the possibility of criminal charges by doing document dumps to the general public.
Yes.
Do you understand that? This is undermining the potentiality for good criminal investigations. Witnesses are going to go stale. They're going to be able to corroborate their stories. And so all of this shit, if your goal is maximal criminal punishment, this does not accomplish that. The reason this is happening is because nobody trusts the people making those decisions. It presupposes lack of trust in those very institutions. And that is just by consequence of the fact that everyone has already made up their mind that there is the maximalist version of the Epstein story that corroborates, the wide sweeping criminality that they all think happened.
But you're talking about like Schrodinger's box of Epstein files, right? The idea that the evidence isn't there until we see it, but if it's not released, we'll never know if it's there or not. That sort of shit. And again, like I said, there's an element there of basically it's always going to be the thing that can be used against the Democrats until it's proven that the people involved aren't democratic elites and things of that nature, right? So there could have been an element there that basically clears the
But
party's
Ogre,
name
some
for
of them
all
are
time to
Democratic
come.
elites. I'll list them. Some of them are Democratic elites. Some of them have close connections to Obama, worked in Obama's White House. Bill Clinton, obviously, to say nothing
Some of them are
Democratic
Ezra Klein's
fundraisers.
best friends, but
some of them
still want to make sure that you know that these people come to light, right?
No, all I'm trying to say is we have a wealthy criminal person, a sick person, who absolutely has connections with a bunch of different individuals. What I'm not seeing, and that should be investigated, and that should absolutely be pursued to the furthest extent that the law allows for. What I'm not seeing is evidence of Democratic negligence in failing to use the fact of these connections and all these open questions for their political advantage in 2024. And that, crucially, is the claim being made by so many. It's like, look at how fucking incompetent they were. They couldn't even use the Epstein story in 2024. It's post hoc, and frankly, it is corruption. Any way you want to slice it, if it was a wink, wink, nod, nod, what people are asking for is for the Democrats to wield politically this, and cynically, the existence of these questions to crush Trump in the polls when there's no evidence that would have happened.
Couldn't it have imperiled the case against Ghislaine Maxwell? Couldn't it have harmed their case against her if they would have released this kind of information?
That was done and dusted. I think in 2022 they had a conviction there. They were appealing some issues.
No, but he's saying do it year one. I mean, wasn't part of that evidence overlap? Wouldn't that have hurt their case against her if they would have?
The trial I think happened in December 2021. So there was an ongoing trial happening with Ghislaine Maxwell at the time. Yeah. It's only recently that her appeals to the Supreme Court have been exhausted.
Right. I'm saying, wouldn't it releasing this information in the way that Jennifer Welsh and Mehdi Hasan are advocating for, couldn't that have hurt the DOJ's case against?
I don't really think it would have. To be honest, I don't really think it would have. But it just more the interference aspect of that. I do find that it's corrupt, and there's not a real good, even the way you crafted the communication over, because you didn't really. It's like, hey guys, can you just give me an update on stuff? Like, what the fuck do you think is going to happen after that communication? I'd be like, all right, sir. Well, this is a case against Ghislaine Maxwell, and this is the evidence we have, and these are our conclusions. It's not going to give you what the Mehdi Hassans, if he said that, are asking for.
They were asking for a document dump. They were asking for to release the files, just like what they did, what Congress mandated that they do.
At the end of the day, the idea of at least sticking to the norm that the fucking, I'm blanking on his name at the moment, the 7 foot tall former attorney general, at least that Comey, yeah. Comey doing what he did to Hillary, as much as I didn't like her ass, basically was like, I don't want to see anything like that. I'll give you that easily, right?
Yeah.
Like that sort of shit, that's not what I'm speaking to. I'm talking about just in general during that 4 years, I can at least sympathize with a little bit of the frustration of not coming out with this information.
I'm gonna say something crazy. This is gonna cancel me. All right, this is gonna cancel me. I think it would have been more justified for Comey to release his statement than for the various different innuendo leaks relating to Trump. And I'll tell you why. At a bare minimum, with the Clinton case, there was a closer approximation in case for criminality in the context of the email dump and when they received it relative to when they announced the end of the investigation, which was a ripe investigation. At least there was a closer connection there and a genuine concern for James Comey, which I disagreed with and I thought was completely bullshit. Here, it would be the pure exercise of a cynical political interference by the president to the Department of Justice, which is exactly what we accused Trump of doing.
Pisco, but the Comey thing was like a week before the election, reopening it, knowing that they were not going to convict. That's purely political.
No. Hang on. He didn't know that they weren't going to convict. So first of all, he did break from norms by doing that. His logic was he was trying to, and I disagree with his actions.
Yes.
But according to him, he was trying to protect the reputation of the FBI because his logic was if it came out after the election, the Republicans would discover that this tranche of emails would have been found on Anthony Weiner's laptop. And if the Republicans that were in Congress at the time had discovered that Comey didn't come forward, he was concerned that they were going to spin that into Comey did that specifically to help Hillary Clinton.
Hide it, yeah.
So that was his thinking. I still totally disagree with his decision to do that. He completely broke with norms, DOJ policy.
Yeah, it was fucking
I think
dumb.
It's within, is it 60 days or 90 days? It's either 2 or 3 months before an election.
The number I remember is 90.
They don't do any kind of announcements like that for fear of the perception of them trying to be politically influential.
But here it's like, what crime are we accusing Trump of doing? I mean, seriously, What has been released from these documents that closer establishes a crime from Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton with respect to the classified document statutes in the National Defense Act or the national security. Like, really, like, yes. Is there innuendo? Is there shit that looks bad? Is there shit that makes Trump look like he obviously knew the reputation of Epstein? And is the cover up right now from Trump look really awful? I totally grant that there's fucked up shit, and they knew that they were underage people. So I totally grant that. But specifically, what criminality relating to Trump are people accusing him of doing?
I don't think it even needs to be that granular. I mean, at the end of the day, in the interest of the public good, wouldn't it benefit the American normie populace to know that the person they're potentially considering voting for is a fucking
that's political.
That's
political interference.
Nobody would have.
You're trying to dress it up in flowery language and be like, well, actually, it's about the public good. But really, what you're talking about is selectively releasing information that should be private.
No, hold on. We're arguing past each other. I'm not saying selective. I'm saying fucking everybody, like the whole thing.
No, but the point
is,
caboodle.
No. You're trying to granular, like drive it back down to be like, once again, the radical leftist.
I'm talking about Jennifer Welsh and Mehdi Hassan's. They were not talking about like justice for the victims. They were talking about they
them.
should.
I'm saying the argument should 100% be dumping the whole thing. The whole thing. You're wanting to argue with someone that's not me after you guys have been talking.
You're
about
the one that defended their position, bro. You're the one that defended their position.
I would defend their position a little bit more, actually, if I can. And this isn't to fully defend their position because I haven't heard what Mehdi Hassan has said. I think that he in particular is someone with a good head on his shoulders and usually comes like from an informed place. Maybe it's not in this case. And I also, to like what Pisco is saying, I think it's important in the face of conspiracies and situations that are rife for speculation to have a degree of keeping your head on your shoulders and whatnot. But at the same fucking time, I mean, like, if any situation is like a situation in which I think people should be expressing these sorts of things, whether or not they're like even correct at a moment like this, like I just feel like we know that this shit was not properly prosecuted by like a long shot. We know that so many people are still being protected. We know that so much injustice that will more than likely never be what's the word, just adjudicated or taken, and it won't adjudicated. I'll just say that because I can't think of the other word. It's probably not going to happen. We hope it does, but it probably won't. So I don't know. I kind of give them more grace inside the situation. That's not to say
we like Mehdi. We like Mehdi. I mean, I like Mehdi Hassan, and I grant that there's bad steps that the prosecution has taken with respect to Epstein. I have a problem with the deal that Acosta offered Epstein, and as well with the Florida federal non-prosecution agreement. I have problems that they didn't follow up on leads there, but that is a problem that is I think principally addressed to the U.S. Attorney's Office under the leadership of Acosta. That's number one. Well, and I think the agreement happened while Bush was in office. That's a problem perhaps with the Department of Justice allowing for these sort of investigatory leads to fester or whatever. It's not a democratic criticism. It is not a democratic criticism. It's important, I think, to maintain the political independence of the Department of Justice. And that's one of the things that I'm proud of supporting Joe Biden for, is not interfering. Now, I criticize him for his pardon, but at a bare minimum, he did not order, for example, this special counsel that was looking into his son to not look into his son. If he had done so for political reasons, none of us would have any problem calling that corrupt. This is just the inverse of that. Saying that we would hope our democratic political leaders to selectively release this document, it's like saying we should act like Nixon. It's saying we should act like Trump. And that's the ground on which I disagree with it. And I do think it's an example of the Democrat, what do you call it, Hutch? I always forget your term for it. The funnel chart, the flow chart. Because here we have a perfect example of Trump malfeasance, of populist rhetoric that people can achieve to build. And instead, we're attacking Joe Biden for doing something honorable, which is not interfering in the Department of Justice.
I just rewatched the clip, and Jennifer Welsh, she talks at the front about like not only is it the right thing to do to like get all these pedophiles, but she does stress the point, and I think this was her primary point, that democracy was on the line, and they should have taken extraordinary steps to, release this information to selectively release this information to harm Donald Trump politically to help the Kamala win that election. And I'm sorry, like you can't say in one breath that you understand that kind of logic, and then in the next breath, and I'm talking to you, Vadim, tell me that you're not going to judge people who didn't vote for Kamala. It's fucking ridiculous. It's inconsistent.
That's true.
Well, I mean, I have a lot to say about matters having to do with that, but I kind of will get into that at the appropriate time.
Before we go into that, I have one last question. Just because in general, like I really would like to hear the thought process on it. Would you still give Democrats credit for how much they've fought to get the files released now versus that you think it's a good idea in general that they didn't press to get any of this released during Biden's administration? Because that was one of the things last year. That was one of the things last year specifically and leading in the last like 6 months or so. I know, especially from this podcast, overall, the entire thing was look how much of a fighter and how much backbone they're showing in trying to get these files released. Why wasn't that something that was even remotely touched on during Biden's administration?
Because this came from
Trump
Congress.
Changed the ground. Trump changed what's going on. His behavior changed. There was everybody's acting like there was an appetite for the Epstein files to be released in 2024. Nobody gave a shit about the Epstein files. In fact, there were 150 names released due to the civil cases in January of 2024, and nobody cared at all. So the idea that would have even impacted the election, I find ridiculous. People wouldn't have believed it. They would have said it's partisan. Trump would have been a martyr. Anyways, we had three other cases against him that were way more serious.
Lots of people were talking about it.
Hold on, I was still talking.
I just have to.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Throw that in. I'm sorry, but like a lot of people were talking about it, and there's an argument to be made that that the the media kind of purposely did not go into it as much as they could have for all kinds of reasons. But anyway, go ahead.
Nobody
that's
cared about
not true.
Hold on. I got cut off.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Nobody gave a shit about the Epstein files until Pam Bondi screwed it up with her influencer drop that went nowhere. And then the real catalyst was Elon Musk tweeting that Trump is in the Epstein files. Until then, nobody cared about the Epstein files.
So as long as conservatives set the tone, it's okay for us to react reflexively to it?
No, it's their behavior in hiding it that has changed the tone and caused the public to give a damn. And Democrats have led the charge in representing the public, and a lot of conservatives too, saying it's time to release them now. Now you really can't mess around.
Because the way you're selling it is...
Wait, can I respond? I want to respond to the guy because I don't think that nobody cared. I think there was this kind of apathy of no one's going to do anything about it because there was this thing since 2019 where it seemed like no matter what happens, no one's actually going to prosecute. We're not going to see what happens. This guy already got his plea agreement. They killed him. They're going to get away with it. So I think already there was an appetite from the right, which I think that's why I was saying the Democrats, even just rhetorically, could have capitalized on that.
I think he's being hyperbolic when he says nobody cared about it. I think what he's saying is that Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and the Trump administration pulled off maybe the biggest example of like a Streisand effect of all time. Like with
I completely agree with this. Yes,
their actions that thrust it into the mainstream. And then all of a sudden everyone was talking about the Epstein files because they were just making the situation worse for themselves at every step of the way. Much like Hassan Piker with his shot collar.
One additional thing too, I want to address Vadim's. You're castigating the media a little bit here, and I don't agree with that. I mean, the second indictment of Epstein was itself part of a reaction to the Miami Herald reporting in 2018. Mm-hmm. I mean, there has been a great deal of media coverage over this, and even into the lead up to the 2024 election, there was Daily Beast articles, release of an Epstein conversation with who's this guy who writes all the Trump books. So there has been a great deal of media coverage on Epstein-related matters. There just has been. There was an entire trial of Ghislaine Maxwell that happened during Biden's administration. The truth is, and unfortunately, I agree with Hutch, I agree with Soypill, that the spotlight this has had, the corruption of the current administration, has now generated an inflection point where people are like, oh, look, this looks fucking fucked up. It has generated new attention for it. The Democrats are capitalizing on it. But let's be honest here. This is not the deciding factor in the election. This is not the issue that most Americans care about in terms of who they're going to elect for president. It just is the case. And so selling this as a big sort of either active decision that Democrats are taking to hide the files or to not take advantage of a wellspring of political opportunity, I think is running into the lack of importance that this issue had in the 2024 election. And also, I think the fact that it would run up into the norms that we tend to respect in this country between interference in the White House and the Department of Justice, or at least I hope we would respect.
Okay, fair enough. But just real quick, I just want to say that I sort of feel like a little inadequate inside this conversation because there's so many aspects of this that that you're speaking to that I would want to kind of look into before having like a real conversation like this. So I'm not going to sit here and heavily dispute anything that you're saying. However, I will recommend, if you guys are up for it, there is a really wonderful creator who's a good friend of mine, Chill Goblin. He's a leftist, but he's done a lot of videos on Epstein and whatnot. And I'd be interested in seeing you guys have a conversation like that, because he is someone who could definitely kind of not only come in with a very informed perspective about like all of the history and whatnot, he knows like crazy shit about it, but then also he would be able to come in with an informed leftist perspective on this, which I don't have. And I think that probably Ogre has a little bit more than I do. So I'll let him say what he was right about to go into right now.
I was just curious why it has to be the binary of attacking it from the purpose of yeah, I agree. If you think it's going to be like a October surprise type thing, that's dumb. I'll concede that. That's not anything that I've been arguing. But the notion of, like I said, everybody thrives on conspiracy theories. Fucking Area 51, JFK, all this different shit. This was going to be something that people talked about probably for decades more to come in some capacity. Was it the thing that cost the election? No, but I don't really feel like anyone's serious, and I'll include the I've had it gals. I don't think you have to look at them as like serious in this particular.
So where's the
capacity.
negligence, Ogre? Where's the negligence?
I'm not saying
why even point at the Democrats as if they did anything wrong here? It's outrageous to me. It's that flowchart nonsense.
Why would you? If you had the ability to highlight a group of people that were involved in, even if it doesn't meet textbook, like we've run investigations and trials and et cetera, why not at least show that like for sake of highlighting people that are basically using the rules in their favor, flaunting their wealth to that degree, people that have that level of outreach to where if you gave a fuck, like the degree that Epstein was flaunting Palantir and shit like that to other.
But Ogre, what does that look like?
So much of this is like,
seriously.
why would that?
No, Ogre, what does that look like for the Democrats' perspective? So I want you to follow that chain of logic. Okay, they should have revealed information, not necessarily just about Trump, but about all these actors using the rules, using the fact that Epstein talked to the Palantir people, that he talked to okay, whatever you want to say there. What does that look like? A Democratic strategist gets on the phone for, Kamala for America, or whatever the fucking the PAC is, or the organization says, this is a really valuable opportunity. Now follow that communication line.
You're just
follow
back
it.
onto the
Follow
exact
it.
same thing. I'm not saying do it as a campaign stunt.
So no. What does the Department of Justice have a meeting and say, how can we get Kamala elected? Starting wherever you want to start it. How does this idea? Ogre, stop.
Why do you keep bringing that up again?
Ogre, you can start it wherever you want to start it. It can start in the halls of the Department of Justice. It can start in the White House. It can start at a super PAC. Where does the idea take hold? And now follow it to the action. That's what I want you to do.
You already started off earlier. You conceded. You said it was not a bad idea, or it's a very true thing that a lot of times, especially for something related to like the JFK assassination, that there can be this thing that captures the public imagination, and therefore it's something that's kind of beneficial to answer a lot of questions and put people's mind at ease.
Beneficial in what way? What do you mean beneficial?
Why do you think people want to know what happened in the JFK assassination?
I'm just asking you to put it. I'm just asking you to put it in your own
like intellectual imagine. Like
I'm asking you what you mean when you say beneficial.
No. It's asking you what you mean.
It could be it's restoring faith and transparency about these things that people are curious about that are happening at that level. When there's the
one way you do that is not one way you do that is you don't interfere in what the DOJ is doing. But okay, you're saying you're not saying that. You're saying don't do that. And so your response to how does this idea take hold that you can use is you should have already been doing stuff anyway, right? That's what you're saying. Did you say that?
I mean, basically, sure.
Okay, so they were doing some stuff. They were prosecuting Ghislaine Maxwell. They were undergoing an investigation which at least alleged.
Hold on.
Who decides, hey, let's release information?
At a bare minimum, if the Democrats released it first, doesn't that take away something that Trump's using as his big campaign thing? Sorry.
I just want to be very clear about what I'm asking here. I'm asking the way in which the idea comes to light and how it gets channeled for the Department of Justice to do a thing. That's what I'm asking. Not would it have been helpful if X. I'm asking you to provide us with a plausible way in which the idea takes hold, it takes root, and then it gets enacted into action such that it would call into question democratic, negligence, that kind of stuff. So please tell us.
But also just to piggyback off what Ogre Boy just said, why would it even enter Merrick Garland's mind to try to take away a potential political thing from Donald Trump? That's not the Attorney General's job. He's not thinking about how do I help Democrats win elections.
Right. That's not the DOJ we want. There could have been
something more along the lines of a mass call out for the release of those files on behalf of the Democrats years ago. That's the point.
Okay, so you want the Democrats to pressure their own DOJ, right? So you want the Democrats, the politicians, to come out and say, hey, Merrick Garland, we want you to release these files and to really take ownership of that issue and to put it forward. And here's the issue with that, Ogre. What is the risk of that? And hopefully you're seeing it right now based on what's going on with the Department of Justice. For the Democrats to undermine their own Department of Justice and call for the release because you know what happens after that, Ogre? Oh my God, the Democrats themselves are calling Merrick Garland corrupt. They're hiding it to protect all the fucking Schmeta files. Look at what they're doing. Let's say for whatever reason, Merrick Garland, I don't know, wants to take a week, 2 weeks to. No. Oh no. Good. Yeah. Awesome. Why no?
It doesn't have to be the argument doesn't have to be that he's corrupt or that he's hiding something. It's a
not what it has to be. What it will be. What it will be. They'll say the Democrats themselves are acknowledging.
Okay. Why would the Congress have to compel him if he wasn't like hiding it improperly?
It's not a. Why would they release it if not for some manner of demand? I don't understand why it has.
We're talking about we're talking about the political benefit to Democrats deciding if you're saying, okay, it doesn't originate in the hall of the White House because you recognize that would be corruption. That would be like what Comey did, right? That would be interference in the political process.
I'm saying don't make it an October surprise. It doesn't have to be anything more complicated than that.
So you would be okay with Biden, let's say at the start of the year, saying, "Hey, you want to find some files that might help me," and this is kind of fucking tricky.
I'm just asking for
why does it have to be something that specifically helps Biden?
I think it would have undermined public trust in the DOJ because they would have been limited in what they can release, and it would have made people trust them even less, and it would just cause more problems for the Democrats.
DOJ wouldn't have actually gone along with the existing law that Trump's DOJ is not following. If
there wasn't a law.
There wasn't any law. The DOJ can release anything anytime.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but you skipped Pisco's point. You just skipped it.
Do you understand how bad it would look for Democrats to pass a law compelling their own? You realize that's a huge negative against Trump, that they had to pass a law to get the DOJ to even partially comply with what people are expecting with respect to transparency of the Epstein files. It wasn't a political benefit. This entire issue has not been beneficial to Trump. It's been negative to him. That's why I'm not understanding the people who are saying, oh, this would have been so beneficial to Biden if he just released it all. One, I think it presupposed corruption, but even if not, it looks horrible.
But it's only negative because of Trump's behavior since he took office. None of this would have happened the way it's happened if it weren't for Pam Bondi and Trump and their behavior.
Okay, well, I mean, that being the case, to me, then it doesn't come across like the Democrats should be getting some kind of like brownie points for being like ferocious fighters in this particular
topic.
They
got the Epstein Files Transparency Act pushed to the forefront. It passed 427-1 unanimously in the Senate. Every Republican coming out. It sunk Marjorie Taylor Greene. Her career is over, and it's going to take out more people. And you say the Democrats accomplished nothing, all from the minority.
No. It's not a matter of accomplishing or not accomplishing. I'm just not going to go out of my way to give a huge standing ovation for something that, if the goal was to get the files released if it was ever a good idea, then it was always a good idea.
That's not true. That's just a silly thing.
They would have never been.
I don't agree. Sorry.
That's crazy.
Okay.
If it's ever a good idea, it's always a good idea to do it.
No, circumstances.
You don't believe that.
Make it a
obviously.
good idea.
Correct. And when Biden's in office, at that moment in time, I just think that like any kind of request or demand is gonna, if it's, unless it's funneled, like you say, from the Congress people or from like a groundswell of Democratic activists, the very Democratic activists who I think sometimes don't want to take any responsibility for their coverage, et cetera. But unless that happens, it's going to be corrupt. And if it does happen that way, it puts the Democratic administration in the position of on the back foot, right? When they're supposed to be concentrating, I think, on making the American people's lives better, et cetera, they're now dedicating hundreds of people to redact all these files. Like it's crazy to me. We have like 500 plus U.S. Or assistant U.S. attorneys and staff reviewing all these files under the Trump administration. That is a crazy amount of capacity in this time.
Which,
and
by the way,
actually, wait, Pisco, I want to say something.
Thomas Massey said. Well, I just want to say real quickly. Thomas Massey said a private organization with 5% of the resources of the DOJ would have met that December 19th deadline.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I want to say, Pisco, to your point, because I was a little skeptical of your guys' side of this, but what you just said kind of convinced me where, yeah, if the Democrats had decided to do this during their administration, the amount of time and effort that they would have to redact, because guys, redactions for the Epstein files, some of them are clearly like, all right, why did you do this? But a lot of them are very legitimate, like protections of certain things and private information. That would, I think, probably have been used against them in the same way it's being used against Trump now, to say like, hey, sure, the Democrats are releasing the files, but they're just hiding all the stuff that makes them look bad, right? And I can kind of see how that would have hurt during the election.
To piggyback off of what Ogre Boy said, I do think you should give the Democratic Party right now a lot of brownie points because they're fucking demolishing Republicans politically and electorally. Like they are annihilating the Republican Party right now.
In special
elections.
But
it's Republicans are annihilating themselves. Like in some cases, I think Democrats are doing active things to facilitate that. But in some ways, they're just like fucking getting out of the way and allowing.
Really? I totally disagree. I mean, they presided over the longest shutdown in government history. They emerged from that shutdown the clear winners of that shutdown.
Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
what are you basing the idea that they lost that shutdown fight? Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. The number of Americans, the percentage of Americans that blame correctly. The number of Americans that blame politically the Trump administration and Republicans for those tax credits expiring, which now everybody is paying higher premiums, is like 55%. The amount of people that blame Democrats is like 20-25. They had like a 25-point lead in that respect. That is a political fight that they fought and won clearly. And right now, we're in the midst of another negotiation, a budget negotiation, where the administration themselves are signaling that they are prepared to make concessions on ICE. That's because the Democratic Party are pouncing and using this moment right now to actually push it. That's not them just standing back passively. They are.
Let him respond.
He kept on trying to interrupt me, bro. I was almost done making my point.
You talk for a while. Go ahead.
What? That was like 30 seconds cumulative.
Okay, go.
Sure. All right, you know what? Let Ogre Boy go, since I was trying
after you spent I don't know how many weeks with your main question that you asked people was to say, well, I think they could have waited like 3 more days before they waved the white flag and showed their bellies to the Republicans. I don't understand how you turn around and have this notion of like they're gonna fucking they kicked ass last time and they're gonna kick ass again. We live in a world.
Me saying that they could have optimized a little bit more. To be clear, my podcast co-host will corroborate this. I never said. I said that they got close to having like maximal gain. I think maybe they could have stretched it out like 1 or 2 more weeks.
But
that's been my position the entire time. But that doesn't mean that they didn't clearly win that fight. That doesn't mean that they clearly didn't win that fight.
We're arguing about optimal gains. So you see me and Hutch fighting about. Yeah, they should have. I think that they should have be willing to do an indefinite thing. Hutch doesn't think that. We obviously fought about that a lot. But I come out of that fight thinking Democrats are better off for it in general. It's just a question about like lost, opportunity cost. That's the debate. Yeah. And I do think, by the way, I probably agree with you that Ogre, that I don't like our leadership right now in either Congress. But it's not the case that like I would say shit on Democrats. They're not doing anything. They are doing stuff, and they're fighting, especially on the state level.
I mean, sure, but at the same time, even in this moment where they're talking about concessions and everything, wasn't it? It was maybe Friday. Schumer's already making concessions on his own concessions that he's asking for. Like he's
I don't know
turning
what you're
around
talking
and
about.
basically,
And the
you know what I'm
heard
talking about.
anything about that.
He was turning around and
just-
saying
Sorry, go ahead.
that when it came to the masking, that no masks, but unless like if a terrorist group put out somebody's picture, then maybe we could do them. He's already giving up on the things that he's asking for before it's even been like agreed upon in press conferences and shit.
And some of
He
these
said
things
there's
that are being
rare
asked for-
exceptions. That's what he said.
and some of these things that are being asked for are actually like a decent amount of them are just not wins. Like it's not a win to ask for for cameras to be on constantly. Like that is
What?
yeah,
Why?
there is first of all, they have control over the cameras themselves. I wish that I kind of recalled more, but there was an interview on Democracy Now with someone who kind of like was like a well versed with all this stuff, who kind of goes into the reasons why
He's the author of Propaganda, right?
What's that? Yeah, it's the
guy who
author
wrote
of Propaganda.
Propaganda?
Exactly.
Propaganda, yeah.
Oh, this is the actual Justice Warrior shit, right?
Yeah.
But why,
He's the-
why are
also
you?
the
Why,
interview
what's
with
your argument for the cameras being useless? Who cares what someone else is saying? What is your argument?
Well, I mean, part of it is that it is used as like a means of like unfair surveillance. Like historically, the use of camera footage is always curated by the by like in most cases by the police, because that's most of the situations in the past where we've had
and Vadim, it's not just this guy. It's like this. The Democrats have said this, and this is very reasonable. It's the camera is not a win unless you attach the caveat of you guys can't control what footage comes in and comes out, and you can't be using this for mass surveillance purposes. That's
of
essentially
course.
the argument. Not that the camera's always
but
on is
they're
bad.
going to go ahead and do those things whether we like it or not. It's just not the win that
No, you
that
could
it
attach
seems
criminal
like.
penalties. You could attach criminal penalties if the federal law enforcement officers disable their camera right before they do a raid or something like that. You can codify that into policy, into law, right?
Well,
Yeah,
that's
well,
Are
also
they
another-
doing that?
it-
I
part
don't
of
think
the-
they're doing that.
If everybody knows these guys are wearing cameras, then they know the footage exists. So if they try to delete it, it's going to look terrible. And the only
Wasn't there
reason,
6 body cameras on when they killed Petty or Pretty, right?
yeah, but
And-
we
And
have
the-
other
yeah,
footage.
The footage is helpful.
And I was actually going to make that point. Is the official narrative, if it weren't for camera footage from those 2 incidents with Renee Good and Alex Preddy, would be these were 2 domestic terrorists who went there to kill ICE agents. In Renee Good's situation, she went there to run them over after they broke down in the street, and Alex Preddy was a would-be assassin who came to cause maximum carnage.
But
That would
I'm
be
not-
the official narrative if it
I'm
weren't
not
for
talking
video.
about people's
Well,
iPhones from down the block. I mean,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
there
I
were
understand
actual
that.
body cams on some of the ICE agents, and
You don't think that if they were wearing a body cam
cam?
when Renee Good was killed, that would have been really helpful, especially in the context of like, did he get hit? Did he not get hit?
Yeah,
no,
maybe
wait,
in a
Hutch,
year
what
from
he's
now
saying,
when it
Ogre
finally
Boy,
got
Ogre Boy,
court
yeah.
ordered to be released. Sure,
Right,
so you
what
actually
he's
don't
saying-
you don't think
Hold on,
we should
wait,
have body
Pisco,
cams?
Pisco. No. Oh my God.
you're missing the
What he's
point
saying-
entirely.
wait,
It's
yeah.
not a
I'm
matter
Guys,
of
I'm
please.
asking the
Okay,
fucking
stop,
question.
stop,
Answer
stop,
it.
stop,
Answer it.
stop,
Answer it.
Stop,
Answer it.
Pisco,
Answer it.
Stop, Pisco, stop. What he's saying is that if they have control over what body camera footage is released, to IRI's point, is that the official narrative doesn't get debunked until they release the footage. So it doesn't matter that they had body
No,
cams. We never saw the Preddy body cams.
But they
right?
respond
We
to
had
political.
have-
Wait a second.
But they respond to political pressure, bro. Why do you think
I
they
am
released?
aware of
Why do you? But why do you think they
Well, you
released
guys-
the footage?
guys,
The guy
you
that
have to
the guy that
concede,
shot.
please.
Hold on. The guy that shot Renee Good. He was filming that with his phone. They released that the next day because political pressure went through the fucking roof. And the same thing's going to apply to body cameras. I think these 2 guys are horny to not acknowledge like a clear Democratic Party like win or potential win.
That's
so you're
possible,
preemptively.
but
I'm
I'm
just
not
asking.
personalized. I
No,
don't
I'm
want to
just
get
asking,
personalized.
you have to acknowledge
Just
that
saying.
the Preddy thing would not have blown up the way it did if we had a delay in the release of whatever body cam footage, or if the body cam footage didn't see so clearly what we saw on that iPhone camera, which was they gunned this guy down in the back.
No, it's
on the
always
street.
better. It's
That's
better.
what
I
I'm
agree.
saying.
I agree. It's better to have
I'm
people
amazed
filming that.
here
my
that you
God.
guys. I'm just kind of amazed here that all of you guys expect the like ICE to be so forthcoming and so honest with what they volunteer and what they don't, given like their entire fucking history and what we've seen within.
You're missing the big picture. You're missing
right now.
You're missing the big picture
for the next.
No, sorry, shut the fuck up, Ogre Boy. You guys are missing the big picture. One, I want an actual answer from you, Ogre, before I go on. Do you support them mandating body cameras or not? I want to answer that.
Obviously. You
do support that happening.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're agreed on that. So then the question is,
I don't know.
Oh shit! Is there? You're not sure if you do. Okay, well let me.
Yeah. Because look, I might, but I would want to investigate more of the kind of arguments about mass surveillance and the way that it would be used, and I would want to investigate that and make sure how I feel about that before kind of signing off to it.
Well, hold on. To answer both yours and Pisco's points, first of all, they're using their own phones anyway. Like, that's for starters. They're shoving phones in people's faces, saying that basically that you're now on a registry whether you like it or not. So the idea of people's rights being violated, it's already actively being done anyway. But the other aspect
you're
of this
missing the point. You're missing the point. The point is you need to bog them down.
I had one more, and it was going to speak to what you're wanting me to address.
You don't even know.
The other aspect of this is like, yes, body cams are obviously a good thing, but at the end of the day, you're talking about a delay, a dice roll as to whether or not that information that's on the body cam ever ends up being something that the public has access
to. No. You're missing the big picture. Are they going to abuse and selectively release and withhold stuff, whatever? Of course they are. They're already doing that with tax information. They're already doing that with everything they have access to. The point of this opposition, this resistance against the administration, is to bog them down in procedure and bullshit issues that they have to go into court to argue. The more little latches you have on about, did they release the footage? Did they not release the footage? Those are ripe opportunities for us to go into court, issue a fucking FOIA request, ask for an injunction, release this information. They're withholding the information. The more you can bog them down in fucking court and paperwork, the better. That's why this is obviously good. I know we're going to have people with cameras there. We already expect people, patriots, that do their First Amendment jobs and record people. So it's not like the footage is necessary to investigation. I don't think that it's generally going to dissuade conduct anymore. It's to bog them down in procedure and give opportunities for us to hold them to account, including this whole will they or won't they release the image? They're being corrupt. They're not releasing it. It's all about that.
Pisco, just to make sure we're not talking past each other, I think Ogre Boy's obviously said, and Vadim as well, for the most part, that body cameras are good, right? The problem is to see this as a huge win when what you just said, it's going to bog them down in some sort of bureaucratic, thing where we can attack them here in these courts. That versus having transparent body camera footage of them doing something viscerally wrong and releasing that the day or the day after is such a bigger win compared to what you're describing as not a bad thing, but I don't think would have nearly the same amount of public outrage, the same amount of support for ICE plummeting, the same amount of pressure that allowed us to push the ICE out of Minnesota. I don't think that would have happened without the camera footage of this person recording. And if that wasn't there,
they're just going to break the law. They're just going to break the law. I mean, you can't trust them to follow the law, even if you were to pass it. You're talking about administration that is completely lawless and shit. Yeah, no, I agree. Would it be better if you mandated after every shooting all the body cam footage gets released? No doubt. Would I be okay with them arguing from that position? No doubt about that either. All I'm trying to say is this is good. This is what we want. And we want also the headline being Republicans bent to Democrats. Republicans saw that this was bad because guess what? That's blood in the water. That's blood in the water that invigorates us. That to know, for example, another example of this is when they left, quote unquote, left Minnesota. Even if they didn't, right? Even if they didn't, that headline by itself is fucking helpful. And so I have no problem whatsoever for us taking this W. I do think that, and you guys heard me, right? I was mad about Schumer, or it was Jeffries, about the whole citizenship thing. And so there are plenty of things I think you can fault Democrats in terms of negotiations, but not this, in my opinion.
Okay, guys, I have actually the transcript of the interview that I was talking about with, his name is Alex Karaken. I'm not going to try. Complicated last name. So I can read what he had to say here, and I think it's worth hearing. So here I go. If I have to say one thing in this moment, it is: do not become distracted by meaningless and counterproductive so-called reforms. everybody who studies these questions understands that body cameras are not a reform to any form of police violence. There has been overwhelming research. There's so much research and overwhelming consensus on this question that even the federal government's own position for a decade or more has been that body cameras do not reduce police violence. Okay, that's the consensus. So you have to ask yourself, in the wake of outrage over police violence, why are so many public officials, particularly Democrats, pushing body cameras? I mean, after all, the person who shot Renee Good filmed himself in that interaction. When what we know from all the data is that there was a moment when the police were so desperate to get body cameras, so were prosecutors. They badly wanted them to dramatically increase their surveillance capabilities, to link facial recognition software. There was billions of dollars at stake in cloud computing contracts for the tech industry and the surveillance policing industry. The prosecutors wanted them so they could prosecute in higher volume, low-level cases against the most vulnerable people in our society. There were all these reasons that they wanted them. They wanted them for crowd control. You're seeing now with ICE, when they go out on the streets, they have these cameras. They scan the crowd. They're mapping people's faces. The policing industry wanted body cameras. They wanted them so badly that before they got public funding for them, they were getting private donations from people like Steven Spielberg because they were so desperate to get these cameras. Now, there's probably a lot more here that is worth reading, but it goes on for several paragraphs, and unfortunately I haven't read through it, but I think that just from that alone, we're starting to see this expert's very clear opinion that these conditions that they're holding out for are, according to him, like just meaningless and in many cases counterproductive. So I'm going to go with this gentleman's point of view because I think that he knows more than all of us combined.
Who is this person? So like I don't trust this bear session. You say you trust this person on the basis of his expertise. What is this expertise? Off the top of your head, do you know?
He's the author of Propaganda. He is someone who speaks very often on myths about immigration, crime, and policing.
You're not talking about his credentials.
And the last thing that I'll say also is that Democracy Now! I mean, like, I would like to be able to give you more in the moment about this particular person, but Democracy Now! Is excellent journalism. They they are very discerning with the people that they have on and the experts that they choose to speak to on topics like this.
But so, I have an even better idea. I have an even better idea. Okay, this is what we'll do. Okay, we'll encourage all of our protesters not to take videos either. No one will take videos. Wait a second. Let me finish my thought.
Okay.
Well, okay. So no one will take videos. And because you agree, right? If people are like taking videos with their cameras, all these different angles, that's going to be these tech billionaires like fucking Elon Musk, they're going to be able to use all of that data to put it into their Palantir systems, right? Mm-hmm. So we should encourage all people not to record, correct?
No, because first of all,
why is the framing disingenuous, Ogre?
First of all, you're talking about average citizens versus the state, for one.
I know I'm talking about that. Why is the framing disingenuous? It's called a fucking comparison.
Well, Pisco, I think because they're not saying we shouldn't record. They're just saying this is lackluster compared to what they really want.
No. Sorry. So sorry. I just responded to a fear regarding tech surveillance and using facial identification, to identify people related to crimes in these networks. That would be true both of body-worn camera footage and freely published imagery and videos from people who are recording on the scene. Correct? Soy pill. This is the soy pill. Yeah, that is correct. That is true of both examples.
In the Democracy Now! Interview, I think that was the closest that AJW got to implying that these people don't want body cams. But I think the overall point is what he's saying is, and what the Democratic politicians in a subsequent article that he posted that also disagreed with this point was not that body cams are bad. It's that body cams is a platitude in their opinion. This is not what I'm saying, but they say body cams are a platitude. It's a meaningless win if they can control what footage comes in and comes out, and if they're just using it to their advantage and not to your advantage.
But they can't. No. I'm speaking. So you wanted to zoom out, so I don't know why you want to zoom out. I'm talking about something specific, which is a particular fear. The particular fear being that this data actually gives a lot of weapons for the administration. And you know what? To be honest, it sometimes does give weapons to the administration. But it's overdetermined because people are freely publishing these videos because they're on the scene. Notwithstanding that, our intuition isn't that we should stop doing that because we think that there's value in that being available.
My answer to what you're saying is that, like, yes, we should absolutely be concerned about that. We should be, as a society, and also just political content creators on the internet, my opinion is that we should be speaking up about these issues so that hopefully mass surveillance doesn't get to the point where every single time that we shoot like some video, it's just going into the Palantir system. Now, we might get to that point, and even if we do get to that point, I would argue that it is still better for civilians to be shooting people because, again, we have the matter of, like, are the authorities going to actually be forthcoming with the footage that we want them to? No, of course not. So it is still a net win for people to be shooting what they can, because then they are kind of like more in a position where if shit goes pear-shaped, they can fucking do something.
What about Palantir? What about the threat?
Pisco. We got 30 minutes left, and I do want to take a step back and talk about, because Josiah actually have a perfect super chat to transition to this for the last half, because this is the main reason Ogre Boy and Vadim are on. He said, definitive answer from both of you. Vadim, you can go first. Would the country be better under a Kamala presidency?
Oh, absolutely. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah.
Okay, Ogre Boy. Yes or no?
Both of you vote for Kamala?
Wait. Let Ogre. We'll get that after.
Yeah. I was telling people prior to the election that they should be voting for her if that was something that, if they were coming to me for advice on electoral politics specifically, I laid out the issues, and I still said ultimately that Kamala would have been better than Trump and that they should vote for Kamala.
Yeah, okay. I mean, what I wanted to kind of launch into before we kind of
hold on real quick, super quick, Vadim. Is there something wrong with your eyes, Hutch? You seem to be blinking a lot.
I just emote a lot, I think.
Okay. I'm not used to that. Go ahead, Vadim.
Wait, that's a lie, right? Wait, hang on a second. That's a lie, isn't it? Ogre Boy, you just lied?
Yes or no?
Wait, Ogre. Did you just?
I think he was just commenting on Hutch's reaction to something.
No. I just want to be clear. Was that a lie? You just lied, right?
It was being hyperbolic and sarcastic.
But it doesn't answer. Did both of you vote for Kamala? I'm not trying to give you a no, I'm just curious.
Yes, I did. But actually, I mean, there was something that I kind of wanted to launch into in the remaining time that we have. Won't be able to get to everything, but could get to one conversation that I very much wanted to have with all of you, and so did Ogre, that is just basically directly connected to that. So I was told from Soy Pill that I'd have like an opportunity to kind of like read a little something that I think kind of like is a springboard into that conversation.
Keep it
is
brief.
That okay?
Not the whole manifesto, but like your introduction to like why you want to talk about it.
Brevity is the soul of wit, as they say.
Okay. Well, I think that this will. Here we go. Okay, I will just go ahead and read it. So. This was supposed to be said at the top. So, okay. So, I said a big part of what brought me here today is summed up in this Twitter exchange that recently popped off and sparked a wider conversation on Twitter. In response to several centrist libs voting in favor for ICE funding, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib tweeted the following out. She said, "Shame on every single House member, including the 7 Dems who voted to fund this killing mob, cold blood killing in our streets, some even clapping and cheering. I'm so sick of fake ass people who say they uphold our Constitution. No, you don't if you fund this madness." And that provoked political consultant Neera Tanden to quote tweet her and say, "A lot of people can criticize the members here, but the last person who should do that is a person who helped Trump win when she could have supported the Democratic presidential candidate." So here we go. And I just have like a few more paragraphs to read. I wanted to say that I personally think the purpose of a statement like this from Tanden is more or less akin to a thought terminating cliche. She's falsely attributing blame for Harris's election loss here. And just to provide necessary context for everybody out there, in regards to Tlaib, she vigorously spoke out against Trump and the threat to democracy that he represented. But due to the ongoing genocide in Gaza, she decided to refuse to explicitly endorse Kamala Harris as a matter of principle, and also in the hopes that doing so, along with others, might have provoked Harris to do more for the situation. She was holding out for concessions. Now, I want to say that personally, I and Ogre Boy as well encouraged others to vote for Kamala Harris in the lead up to the election, in spite of feeling the same way, in spite of believing that Harris was not acting on something such as in spite of believing that Harris not acting on something such as this would have inevitably helped to provoke a great disinterest and apathy amongst voters that spread far beyond that of leftists to potential voters of all stripes everywhere. And again, I encourage others to vote for her, but I absolutely, and I believe that Ogre did as well, but we absolutely respected those who held out for concessions because we knew their conscience, not only that their conscience would not allow them to do otherwise, but also because it was a very worthwhile tactic that was attempting to coerce Harris to take necessary action in order to ensure a victory. This is almost over here. Anyhow, in my opinion, sorry, I miswrote here. Anyhow, in my opinion, near attendance sentiments here provides an excuse to just throw out not just what she was quote tweeting from Tlaib, but anything and everything she would ever have to say of political value, because if she's complaining about something, she's supposedly to blame for it. So fuck her. Now, obviously, this mirrors exchanges that are had all the time between tons of people like ourselves in all sorts of ways. So I'm hoping a productive conversation could be had with all of that as a springboard.
And scene. Hutch.
There you go.
Okay. If I can, oftentimes in online politics, people will craft analogies. Let me try to craft an analogy here. Let's say that you have, a village of people. It's 2,000 people. The number doesn't matter. And they have some kind of a barricade around the village that they live in. And the barricade is somehow threatened by something. Let's say like water, let's say like the oceans rise, right? And it's established that the people that live in this village, they have to reinforce that wall. Otherwise the ocean's going to come in and just drown everybody and destroy the village. And let's say you have somebody that's in that village talking a lot about the threat of the ocean and the water and all that. It's just like, this is really bad. There's water coming. But then let's say that person doesn't help reinforce the wall and then the wall collapses. Do you think that the person who didn't help potentially, or not potentially, do you think that the person who didn't help could have helped to stop the water coming and killing everybody?
Ogre, you want to take that?
No. I asked you, Vadim.
I'd like to go over to Ogre because I just
can I actually jump in? I can already see. I can already see you guys. Wait. I can already see you guys talking past each other. And what's going to happen is, tell me if this is wrong. Vadim and Ogre Bug, this is my position, but tell me if this is a good steelman of what you guys are saying. The people that were holding out for concessions were not thinking that with their help, they would have stopped Trump. Their thought is, if you don't listen to me and concede to my argument on Gaza, you will lose. So it would be, in its analogy, it would say,
to be more specific, if you don't do the thing that I want you to do, I will help Donald Trump win.
No, sure, I understand the framing. Yeah. I understand the framing, but Hutch,
that is not helping. Yes. They are already trying to do something about an apathy that is going to be there whether you like it or not. I'd very much like Ogre, because I know Ogre Boy has a lot to say about this, and I said a mouthful, and he can talk very capably about this.
I thought Ogre Boy, I thought you changed your mind about voting for Kamala, and you think that would have been the right thing to do. Didn't you tell me that?
The discussion in the moment is still the same. The idea of what a lot of people were trying to do in 2024, it was akin to yelling at the main character inside the movie theater while you're watching a horror movie, trying to tell somebody that the murder's right behind them.
This was a United States representative who has a tremendous amount of influence in the state that she serves, which happened to be a battleground state. And she could have, at any point, told her supporters in no uncertain terms, the threat of Donald Trump is real. He is going to probably be worse than the first term. Everything that they're threatening to do in Project 2025 sounds like it will do a lot of damage. It will kill a lot of people. We can get into the USAID cuts, but I feel like that point has been made 1,000 times. And nobody forced her. You say holding out for concessions. I don't know what that means. Like, through the election? What does that even mean?
What do you mean you don't know what that means?
What does it mean to hold out? Was she hoping for a concession the day before the election? Was she hoping for a concession on the day of the election?
Looking for her to either do a weapons embargo or to
and that didn't happen.
Or to promise a ceasefire. Hopefully,
and that didn't happen. But
that was fucking right. If she had done that,
10 million people are going to die from USAID cuts, and it's partly her fault. It's partly her fault. Yes.
Vadim, what he's asking is, yes, holding out for concessions, a valid. He understands the concept of, hey, I don't really want to endorse until you do this. But once it becomes clear this is not going to happen 24 hours before, because she's not going to pass that in 24 hours, why not at that point then endorse?
Because it's a fucking genocide.
Is Donald Trump is he a fascist?
What's that?
Is Donald Trump a fascist?
Donald Trump is a fascist, and that's why.
Is MAGA
and that's why, as I said,
is MAGA a nascent fascist movement? Is there an emergent fascist?
Throughout her campaigning, spoke to that constantly. You're not.
You seem to be just breezing past the responsibility that people have to use their influence.
People are automatons.
To use their influence to affect the best possible outcome. Okay, if you are a sitting representative,
the best possible outcome.
You don't need to interrupt every time I speak, Vadim.
Yeah, but you're
let me speak. I am not long-winded like you. I can make my point in 10 seconds without 50,000 qualifiers.
Go ahead, then Vadim respond. Okay.
You seem to be of the mind that people don't have a responsibility to use the influence they have to affect for the best possible outcome. You think that people get to?
I'm saying that this is the way that they are using
for a couple seconds. You seem to think that people can just absolve themselves of any responsibility that they have. She's a United States representative. Okay, you cannot tell me in one breath that Donald Trump is a fascist, and then in the next breath tell me, but I'm going to stop short of endorsing the only person that could beat her.
Don't tell me what I think.
I'm telling you what you're telling me, bro. You're saying that she didn't have any responsibility.
Okay, let Vadim respond.
You know, you shaved your head, and I think maybe you have like some sort of
let's not do this.
Don't go there.
It's beneath you. It's beneath you.
That gives you like psychic powers now. That the lack of hair allows you to pierce my brain and know what's going on inside it.
Just say you need a nap.
Wait, Hutch, let him respond. Let him respond.
Okay.
Let him tell you what he thinks.
Okay, let's go.
I think that they were using their influence to the best of the ability that they could by holding out in order to get something which they knew was the only thing that would win the election. Them kind of saying this scenario in which they kind of bit the bullet and did some sort of please vote for her. Like I know like it's a genocide and they've like completely ignored us. They didn't listen to us at the they kicked us out basically at the DNC, and they are just kind of like shitting on us by funding a genocide of our community. Please just go ahead and vote for her anyway. Yes, maybe in some cases that would have gotten a few more people out to vote, but that would not have created the sort of groundswell of support that would have occurred if they were successful.
Okay, I follow you. So if they don't have influence sufficient to make any kind of meaningful impact on the election, why were they making demands?
Well, because
pause on that for a second.
Okay.
What leverage did they have? You're saying, well, they couldn't have really made a difference. Then what doesn't that annihilate the very premise? Like, it's absurd that they would be holding out for concessions, because what leverage do they have?
What other options did they have other than trying to appeal to their representatives?
There's also another aspect of this, which is just kind of like at a certain point, people do have certain kind of like principles that they like are going to like hold to, and that's under. I mean, is there no situation where you guys would under like where you would respect someone who did the same if like I mean, like
no,
what
there are some situations. No, there are some situations. It's just they didn't present themselves.
well, if there are some
Like
situations,
Vadim, for example,
I've
very often
why
said,
not of
like,
all things a genocide? What like
I'll tell you
if
why.
if you're going
because
to
there's
have,
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
if you're going to just last sentence, okay? If you're going to have the cutoff at some point, then like why is like a genocide not the point where you start doing that?
Well,
So,
Vadim,
so
I give this
help-
example a lot. Wait, I want to respond to this because Vadim, I give the example a lot of like I sympathize. I know people who have family in Gaza that were killed by Israel. Okay, like I understand their line of reasoning of like, wow, it's very hard for me to hold my nose and go say, yeah, the person who helped that happen, I'm going to go vote for you. But it's our job as content creators and politicians as well, especially so, to say, hey, just because this thing is happening and is awful, there are more things that are going to happen. And because both of you acknowledge Trump is just demonstrably worse, we need to do everything we can to stop that. It doesn't matter if you
won the election. There's no like scenario.
No, wait. I agree with that. Wait. I agree. Wait. I agree with your take that the Gaza issue didn't swing the election. That's why I think it's so ridiculous sometimes for people to claim credit that, oh, if they had just, to Hutch's point, if they had just listened to us, they would have won the election. I think that the loss had to do more with prices or whatever. But that's not what people are pointing at and why they're upset. Yeah, this response, this quote tweet isn't directly responsive to the issue related to whatever, these 7 representatives who I condemned for their vote, including whatever, Glusen, Perez, etc. What people are upset about isn't, well, we know they would have had a statistical effect in the election. It is the priorities of these people and what they view as the existential nature of the threat or that Trump imposes. The fact that we are all on this plane together and we're all going to fucking die if we don't gather forces and do what it takes for the benefit not just of ourselves, but for millions of other people in other places, including the people being slaughtered in Gaza. And on every score of that, there's a frustration not to be lectured to by these people. I'm not saying that it's directly responsive to what these people are saying, but you should at least understand where it's coming from. It's being sick of it. It's being sick of this kind of talking down to people who wouldn't even do the bare minimum.
No, that you're like, okay, go ahead. I want Ogre Boy has.
There's a couple different things here, and the first one is essentially one of the arguments, or at least the attempt to try to make this make sense, is that it's not a matter of what we as a group or the people sitting on Politics Nerd Island that spend all day reading and listening to commentators and public speakers and all this different shit. It was an attempt to try to like get some kind of message across to normies and have normies hear what comes out of the candidate's specific mouth to say what they were willing to do. She had the opportunity sitting across from Dana Bash to say, what are you going to do different? And she said that she wasn't going to do anything different.
But play it out, Ogre. Can I just say, play it out? So let's say, for example, let's say that we're in your world of political sort of analysis. Kamala Harris says, you know what? I'm going to announce for the first time here, Jake, whoever's doing the fucking debate, what's happening in Gaza is a genocide. And I'm immediately resigning. Because that's what she would have to do, wouldn't she? That's what she would have to do if she were the vice president of an administration that is a party to a genocide in that respect. The way you're saying is she can't be a party to it. She has to resign. How the fuck can she declare it as a genocide from her position as vice president, part of that administration?
I'm not
Talk me through it, Ogre.
It's not.
What should she have done then that she didn't do?
You're picking the maximalist position in the other direction to try to turn it into
so you don't hold it. You don't hold it against
scenario.
her. You're right. So you don't hold it against her. So now let's play another. So
all she had to do
let's
was
just do the
play
other
into
scenarios.
Can we fucking talk? What's happening here? Only thing that she had to do was say, yes, under my administration, if evidence comes across my desk that the Leahy Act or the Foreign Assistance Act, 620I, I believe, that when and if these things are being violated, I'll look into it. That's it.
Yeah.
That would have been enough to get a lot of the grassroots activists. Why would you ask me if that's what I feel is necessary when I'm telling you what I think is necessary?
Okay, so what you've just produced, right, is you're saying, I'm not asking her for the sun and moon. I just want some sort of token gesture that she would look into her boss and everyone that she works with for violations of the Leahy Act. Okay, but that's
the person that
and then
wants to
what's
be
the ogre?
ogre?
Let me finish. What is the next question after she says, I think that we should look into violations of the Leahy Act? What's the next question? You produce it. What's the next question? Go.
Why hasn't Biden done that?
That's a great question.
Do you feel, or how about number 2? Do you feel the Leahy Act has been violated under administration?
Can you let me talk for 5 fucking seconds? This is so exhausting.
Maybe our administration is violating its obligations with respect to genocides. And so,
so if we go back to what I
that's
actually
a good
said,
political strategy.
Can I go back to what I actually said as opposed to what you tried to make me say? I said all she had to say was essentially if information comes across my desk that there's violations of the Leahy Act and the Foreign Assistance Act, I'm willing to look into it.
That would have appeased a lot of the leftovers.
And also, bottom line, here, let me ask this, because this is one of the things that I wanted to get at. Do you guys even fucking continue to read articles or stay up to date on any news whatsoever to any of this shit?
Why is that relevant? Why is that? Hang on. So first of all, why did you just bring that up?
Why did I just bring that up?
Yeah.
Because
so you're like, are you studying your Gaza? Yeah. No. So and why is that relevant exactly?
Because there was 2 articles that came out in November specifically about how the Biden administration knew in December of 2023 that they were already committing war crimes in Gaza.
No. You're getting into the substance. You're getting into the substance of the argument. That's not what we're talking about.
I haven't forbid I touch on substance.
No, but that's not what we're talking about. Do you want us to actually have a conversation about whether or not they have violated the Leahy Act, or whether or not is that what you think we're talking about, Ogre?
I'm talking about a failure on their behalf to do what's right in order to actually.
You don't think we're talking about the Leahy Act, do you?
Not only to be on the right side of history, but to also simultaneously save the potential for the fucking election. Yes.
Okay, no. Let me jump in here. There's a couple things I want to point out. Okay. There have been multiple independent organizations that have done their own estimates about the projected death toll from USAID cuts globally over the. You can
there
Jesus
was
Christ.
nothing.
Don't moralize to me about Gaza.
Project 2025.
No. Don't moralize to me about Gaza and imply that I don't give a fuck about people dying or whatever. If you're going to poo-poo and hand wave the current
with the USAID
you, dude. You, all right? You don't even think it's a
Please, hold on. Just give me a second.
Don't speak. You told him to speak. Fuck you. The current projections.
Hutch. I muted them. Start over, and then
the current projections right now. And I'm gonna make my other point. The current projections now are that 200,000 kids on the low end of the estimate have died just in the last year from USAID cuts. That number is expected to swell to over 1 million. So you have no leg to stand on. You have no leg to stand on moralizing as though your red line of Gaza was some kind of justification to allow the Trump administration to come in and do what he did. I want to make my second point that I think is much broader, which is that you guys need to stop treating these elections like it's a fucking game that don't have real consequences. Okay? These are real. People are living and dying because of these things. The outcome of the election is so enormous.
A week ago, listening to both you
don't get to tell me. You don't get to tell me that it's. Hold on. Let me. I wasn't quite done. I wasn't quite done. Stop using the threat of helping Republicans win.
You are reversing this whole
Listen to me.
thing.
Stop using a strategy of I'm going to help Republicans win. This is pathetic.
Please, just for a moment.
Vadim, this is pathetic. Don't ask your soldier boy to jump in and take over for you and then jump in with this belligerent nonsense. Do I look scared, Ogre Boy? Do you two intimidate me?
Okay, wait. Hutch, let him respond.
No, I was not. Let me make my last point. You guys, can you mute them for a second? Mute them for a second. I'm serious. This belligerent clown.
Let him respond.
Let him respond. He cut me off, bro. He's been screaming the whole time. It is
because I'm fucking disgusted by what you're saying, and I need to.
You told Ogre Boy to jump in because you don't know how to collect your thoughts, and then I start speaking, and you jump in and start yelling. No, you don't.
I know exactly what I want to say.
I'm muting all 3 of you. Okay, Hutch.
Wow.
I think your point was almost done. you did make a lot of points there, and clearly Vadim wants to have a little response to this. So let's let Vadim get a word in. Then Ogre Boy can respond, and then you can all scream at each other again. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah. Okay. So it's my turn now. Is that what's
Yeah,
happening?
go ahead. Go ahead and respond.
Jesus Christ.
Bro, you are far more to fucking blame for this situation. So you're someone who every step of the way has denied that there is in fact a fucking genocide going on to begin with. So like I'm not like going to be like lectured by someone who actively helped create a status quo with the situation that is the reason why we lost the election, because fucking the Dems and principally Biden and Harris did not do not only what was a moral imperative, but what was an imperative to get people out to vote, to create a groundswell of like like a feeling that they were going to actively be different than Biden, and you have to start from like, in order for me to like vaguely respect anything you're fucking saying, you have to like actually acknowledge all of the experts and like the massive amount of data that we have that points to it actually being a genocide before you try and guilt trip us about this bullshit.
Go ahead, guys.
Did you see the exit polls, Vadim? Like that issue was nowhere near the top of why people voted.
Well,
I've already put in front of Hutch before, like a aggregate of 34 different polls that show that it would have meant winning in the swing states for Kamala. And the first name on that list that put the first poll was Laksha Jain, your guys' fucking polling boy. Like the information.
Our polling
boy. Polling boy.
The guy we had on for podcast is our polling boy. So we
that you guys glaze. That's your boy. Hutch is your boy. This is your polling boy. What do you?
It was inflation and immigration. Inflation and immigration.
I'm not talking
and
about
you're right,
nationwide.
Vadim.
I'm talking about in the swing states, which she lost. Wait, wasn't it all? It was all of them, right? Right. So
yeah, wait, just pause right there. Why did you say? Oh, it was all of them, right? Are you like trying to dunk on the fact that she lost? Like, wow, like you're happy she lost? That's what it seemed like, but you can dispel that, right?
No, my name isn't Cenk.
Why did you? Wait, no, but why did you do that there, right there? You were like, all of them, right? All of them?
Because
like you're trying to twist the knife?
Is about
why are you trying to twist the knife? I'm asking, are you trying to twist the knife when you do that?
Because there's also an absolute refusal to learn any fucking lessons from this whatsoever, and blindly, reflexively defend people that didn't want to win.
Okay. Can I jump?
She left. She absolutely explicitly left votes on the table. And the real bitch of this is I actually brought like a full 2 pages of fucking notes, clips. I got shit that I was going to use to make my fucking case.
Those analyses.
I thought there was going to be something fucking substantive
which
that was going to happen.
I had a conversation. I had a conversation with Prime about this stuff, and those analyses, they only do like one part of it, which is like how many votes you would have gained. But you don't do the calculation of how many votes you would have lost. And that's what's so insane about this entire thing. You know,
but any that's kind my of point. You guys, listen, this is actually, to me, this is actually really important. There's an element here that you guys, in Hutch specifically, which the whole point of this was like, Vadim and Ogre Boy confront Hutch. There's a whole cross-section of this information that you guys never present to your audience whatsoever. There's a half of this story that's completely missing, and then maybe they could come to the conclusion.
This is bullshit, Ogre, because you know I get a lot of shit because I am someone who thinks that like we shouldn't be doing this kind of like pivot to Manchin or whatever the fuck it is. I get a lot of shit for that kind of stuff. And when I say I don't think lefties cost them Kamala the election, I'm basically saying that by and large, the left came through for Kamala. That's my empirical conclusion based on the data that we have available. What you're suggesting is the left did cost Kamala the election. That is what you are suggesting.
Right?
No.
So I'll ask you now. Did the left cost Kamala the election?
No.
What? Why not?
That's your missing
virtue of what?
In virtue of what? The
whole virtue of what did they lost in the
swing states. It was the loss of the normies, the ones that don't pay attention to politics the way that we fucking do.
They cared about Kamala's position. So the ones who are not read in on Israel Palestine.
The
Those are the ones she lost.
Off of the bare minimum information that they have the ability to even pull their heads up from their lives and take a look out on a daily basis.
And they knew enough to know that Kamala.
And then when Kamala has the opportunity to go on a national stage and say what the fuck she's going to do different, including Gaza, was basically she's not going to separate herself, which she also fucking lied about during her book tour.
You're suggesting that the least informed among us,
guys, she could have just fucking lied. Politicians do it all the time. She could have just lied, and
she had her people
and then say what? And say what?
And say that she was going to implement an arms embargo or force a ceasefire. She could.
All right. What's the question, Vadim? First of all, I mean, that's not going to be. People are going to be upset that she lied or whatever.
I don't want her to lie, but I'm just saying to
Imagine she said this. Imagine she says this. I believe that there should be an arms embargo on Israel.
Yeah.
What do you think is the problem with the sitting vice president coming out and saying that?
I don't know, but it was the right thing for her to do.
It undercuts Biden in the course of the negotiations that they're actually having, where he was actually trying to push for a ceasefire near the end.
Yeah,
his vice president over there talking genocide, talking arms embargo, talking all that stuff. These are sensitive international conversations, just so you're aware.
People wanted there to be they were getting sick as fuck as Biden. Right. And so they wanted a departure.
And number two, I just want to finish. And number two, she looks weak. It'll make her look weak. So I'm not saying that I don't agree with the policy. I don't think that we should be. I don't think we should be giving funds to Israel. But the political. But the political. No. It makes her look weak. It makes her look weak.
It does not make her look weak.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's nothing strong about capitulating to your boss. Just asserting yourself and doing something different, which the whole country wanted her to do, would have protected strength.
Can I agree with you, Vadim, and just say briefly, I agree with you that Kamala did not do a good enough job separating herself from Biden and showing how she would be different. I don't think it would have mattered on the issue of Gaza. I think it had way more to do with inflation and what she would do for this country to make people's lives better.
Well, hold on.
Okay, well,
to be fair, can I play off that for just a moment?
Go for it.
So, first of all, no, that wasn't the singular thing, but it would have been an indicator that she was willing to start branching off in a different direction or a slightly different direction from Biden. That you're correct in that. It wasn't the only thing, but there would have been enough there to, I think, especially if it happened earlier, that could have gotten a lot more grassroots attention and pushed her campaign farther than what it had. And I still, like I said,
why are we even fucking? Can I ask? Why are we even talking about this? This is a deflection because the difference is we are willing to acknowledge that there were mistakes. Let me finish. We were willing to acknowledge, and Harris herself is willing to acknowledge there were mistakes in the campaign. What you guys crucially are unable to acknowledge is that every voter who stayed home because of Gaza did a disservice to this country and should be ashamed of themselves, including you, Ogre. You tried to slide in and say, well, I told other people to vote. You did not vote for Harris. And so you have to reconcile with your own shame, which you have not done. You should have shame. You should have shame. You should have shame.
Because the other half I was going to say to IRI's point was that she lied about knowing the importance of separating herself. After the election, her people went on Pod Save America and said that they knew they needed to, but they didn't know a way. She goes on her book tour in front of the fucking View and says, I didn't understand that it was that important to even do it. All of this, much of this shit is fucking cope. It's insane.
We have had so many conversations on this podcast about how Kamala Harris could have run a better campaign. To my knowledge, liberals do not shy away from these kinds of conversations. They happen all the time. So that's fine. We can dive into that topic if we want to. I want to dive into something different. I want to respond to something specifically that Vadim said. You said, or implied, right? And tell me if I got you wrong, that Kamala had a moral imperative is the word that you used. A moral imperative to do everything she could to get out the vote to beat Trump, right? You said that. I said that.
I said that she had a moral imperative to. I actually didn't say moral imperative in relation to her, but
yes, you did.
No, I didn't. But I'll go ahead and kind of say that I think she did. Yes, I think that any candidate should have a moral imperative to
Okay, all right. So she had a moral imperative, right?
Get
So
our funding out of a fucking genocide. Yes.
No. I'm saying she had a moral imperative to do everything she could to beat Donald Trump. Do you agree with that?
And so,
Vadim's
doing the
saying
arms
that
embargo,
yes,
she would have,
I understand that you keep going to that topic. I'm just asking you in generalities.
Yes,
You know,
he said yes. He said yes.
The moral imperative that performing this action would have won her the election. I very much believe that, and I can explain why.
No, I'm past. Okay, listen. Why did she have a moral imperative to beat Donald Trump, specifically Donald Trump?
I don't know where you're going with this. This is
just walk with me.
You're in this moment, you're kind of acting as though.
Why won't you answer my question, bro? Come on. What are you doing here? I'm just asking a simple question. Why did she? Why did
she like fucking mind games? And you're not accepting the simple fact that.
Okay, let me jump to the point. I just spare me, please. I just want to get. I've been very patient. You guys have been speaking. You're not engaging with me in good faith. I'm asking you good faith questions.
Just let him go.
You're not engaging with my questions. You don't want to do it. Fine. I'll just arrive at the point. You did say that she had a moral imperative to do everything that she could to beat Donald Trump. Yes. I agree. I think the reason why she had a moral imperative was because Donald Trump is uniquely dangerous, and him ascending to the office of the presidency was inevitably going to lead to mass suffering. Okay. What I put to you right now is that it's not, the moral imperative does not just rest with politicians. We are a democracy. We have a vote, and people with positions of influence, like politicians or even influencers, they also have
voters.
They also have a moral imperative, if they care about these issues and can see Trump for what he is, to do everything that they could to prevent that from happening. I put that same moral. You only want to talk about the moral imperative of Kamala Harris, and you don't want to put any responsibility on people that are in a democracy and have a vote and have a say. The second point that I want to make, shut up, bro.
Wait.
Talking. Stop.
Dude,
wait. I gotta be both of you, because you this is what was gonna happen. You're talking about each other. Hutch, your analogy of the thing of they're not helping build the wall, right? Wait, Hutch, please, Hutch. I want you to listen to me, please. Hutch, the idea that tell me if this is wrong, Vadim and Ogre Boy, is that they're saying, hey, you need to build this wall out of concrete, and if I help you stack up mud, it's not gonna matter. And then they didn't build it out of concrete, and then the fucking ocean destroyed the village or whatever, right? So, can you engage with they think this is the only thing that would have won the election? I don't agree with this, but you're talking past both of them.
I don't need you to translate for them and be like an intermediary, okay? He's a big boy. He's an adult. He's a grown-up, okay?
Are the people who
you say that I was responsible, going back to what you just said, you say that I was responsible for Israel's genocide because you said that I was partly responsible for Israel's genocide because I talked about the issue on my stream and expressed skepticism about particular language. You think that I am complicit in genocide? You said directly. You said I am directly complicit in genocide, but you don't think Rashida Tlaib was directly complicit in Donald Trump winning because she refused to endorse? What is that logic? How does that make any sense, bro?
And he has made too many points for me to effectively hit. Okay,
go ahead.
Is the idea supposed to be that as long as the party?
Shut the fuck up, dude!
I made 2 points. How can you not keep that in your mind? I understand if you're tired. I made 2 points, bro. How do you not keep that in your mind?
Ogre Boy, go ahead.
Is the idea supposed to be that if the party just waits out the person that's wanting the concession, that they can go ahead and do?
No, that's not the point.
Anyway,
no. That's not the point. The point is on Vadim's view. If it's the case that Hutch is morally responsible for a genocide, that on that same view, right? Someone like, for example, Rashida Tlaib, or for example, Zoran Mamdani. By the way, I don't even grant this view. But if that is your view, by your own logic, they're responsible for Trump in some sense. And I even see you guys claiming responsibility in a causal sense, given that you think that it was a but-for sort of condition to her losing. And so that's the point. The point is an inconsistent standard that you only apply to Hutch for the genocide.
Guys,
that's wild.
No. I need to explain what I am saying, that because I don't really like if I'm gonna like really play the blame game, I'm gonna be talking about the shit that both Biden and Kamala did primarily. But if we are going to do some sort of hierarchy of blame, then absolutely I am going to blame people like Hutch, who never took the idea that there even was a genocide seriously in the first place, ignored the statements of so many human rights organizations.
So it was the left's fault then, right?
And historians.
So it was the left's fault then, right? That's what you're saying?
If she would have rescinded her lack,
it is you more than anybody else inside that situation.
But the left could have prevented Trump from winning, but they didn't because of the genocide. That's what you're saying, right?
No. What I'm saying is that if the wishes of okay, I need to kind of like chill.
Take a break.
To kind of
take a breath
properly.
Maybe take a walk. Ask Overboy jump in.
Can I just say,
he's struggling.
Can I just say, while you gather your thoughts, there's nothing Kamala could have said or done that would have been sufficient. The goalposts are on wheels.
True.
No, it doesn't matter what she said. It doesn't matter what she said. She could have said it's a genocide. To hell with Israel. I'm going to wipe them off the map if I get in there. It would have never, ever been good enough.
Did you
Let's
watch
not
Biden's
kid
farewell
ourselves.
tour?
Come on.
Did you watch Biden's farewell tour?
What does that? Some of it. Why?
One of his final comments when he talked about the secret to his success was saying that sometimes you have to know like the thing that's worth losing for. Like there's always going to be something that it's like, well, we can't do that because we might lose. Well, they lost anyway and still didn't do the thing that was probably worth standing on the right side of.
We don't grant that. We don't grant that. But what we're examining right now is the culpability, the relative culpabilities. And by this logic, I think you guys have to grant that Bernie Sanders is culpable for genocide because he didn't call it a genocide until September 2025.
He's also
I'm just gonna ask the question. So I'm just gonna ask the question on the view that Hutch is culpable for the genocide. Bernie Sanders is correct.
No. This is where I disagree from Vadim, but I think his mentality is very indicative of
he can speak for
why
himself,
we're fucked as a country.
Wait, Vadim, do you think it's bad that Ogre Boy has a genocide enabler poster behind him?
It's bad, yeah. I mean, he's enabling genocide the same way Hutch is.
His refusal to use a specific piece of language, to be certain, he is still farther into the correct category of withholding arms to Israel, speaking out about what's happening over there. And he finally got on a page that not even Hutch is willing to get on. So
I think that if you are willing to use dead Palestinians in a political debate in the cynical way that you guys do, I question if you actually give a fuck about those people, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I just think that this is like,
I don't think you actually care about them.
This is just manipulation, dude. You're the one.
I don't think you care about them. I think you use them as pawns in political debates.
Wait, let him respond.
No, hang on. These two constantly accused me of being complicit in a genocide. It is a disgusting smear. I spent my stream talking about how Israel was very likely committing international war crimes with respect to proportionality. I never co-signed the total blanket bombing campaign that they embarked on.
Yeah, but more importantly, people like you,
people like Vadim,
ever do to separate ourselves from it,
people
right?
like Vadim, get on there and then smear me and lie and accuse me of supporting genocide. You couldn't possibly do that if you actually gave a fuck about this.
You do not have to make
a pawns in your political fight. It's virtue signaling nonsense.
Here's political fight and ending weapons support.
No, his virtue signaling. It's nonsense.
I know, but let him respond to that though.
Yeah, who said this, Hutch? You do not have to make absurd comparisons to Dachau in order to make the case that Palestinians in Gaza are suffering. Regardless, if Biden was actually wanting to genocide that population, he's currently doing a really terrible job of it.
I was speaking to the death count compared to the birth rate. If we're talking about the proposition that Israel, was trying to exterminate Palestinians entirely from Gaza, then they were. That's going to take a pretty long time at the current rate. Was my point.
Okay.
And it is absurd to compare it to Dachau. Yes,
you know what?
It's absurd.
You know what? This is actually. I'm glad that we're at this moment.
Yeah, we got to the point where you get to moralizing virtue signal like you actually give a fuck about these
very
people.
important thing to bring up here. Okay, so I came out, came here to have this conversation. I'm not monetizing this. I'm not even streaming it. I went out of my way to do this, and I would like you, as a gesture of
I told you he was going to do this, so I told
yes,
him.
of course I
it.
am.
I told you.
You watched Chris Kunzler and Overzealot's.
Are you doing like a tag team thing?
And what's that?
Are you doing like a tag team thing?
I'm.
No, he thinks you're gonna like Sam Cedar him.
He is.
Like Ethan
That's what I told you he was going to do this.
Oh,
I told you. I told you he was going to do this. I don't know this person. I don't know this person. If they want to talk on like a Discord, a call or something, that's fine. I fucking told you he was going to do this. He's such a silly person.
Wait. You guys kicked me out? What the hell?
No. It looked like you just left.
So of course I'm going to do this. Of course I'm going to do this. You watched their podcast. You strawman them. You said all sorts of bullshit facts. And no, you did. And in order to continue having this conversation that we're having right now,
get to the point. You can say it in like 5 words, man.
Will you or won't you have a conversation with Chris Kunzler, who you have talked about, who you have strawmanned?
I don't remember. Who is this person?
He's the
you watched
Vadim.
Vadim on what though?
No
on what?
Politic Here. He's the co-host of the No
Vadim.
Politic Here podcast. And you watch.
Is this what you do? Is this what you do?
Israel?
And he asked you.
Vadim,
he asked you.
Do you go on debates and then say, "Oh, here's my friend"?
You are coping.
This is what you do.
Right now. Why
That's
are you
literally
afraid?
what you're doing.
Vadim,
what am I supposed to be afraid of, bro?
What are you
I have no
proposing,
idea.
You pussy.
Vadim, what are you proposing?
Who is this person?
You're proposing a conversation between this person and Hutch on Israel and whether it's a genocide. Is that the conversation you want to propose?
I would like a conversation both on whatever Kunzler would like to talk about.
Why don't you show up to debates prepared to debate? Why do you always have to tag people in? What is this? No, you didn't. You deflected to some guy who wrote propaganda, and you asked Ogre Boy to jump in when you feel overwhelmed, and now you're doing this weird thing that I said you were going to do.
This is so embarrassing. Just you're not going to do
for me.
You're a pussy.
Wait. Is it the conversation about whatever he wants to have a conversation about? I don't understand how.
I think it would one be over the clip that Hutch watched, which he.
I'll tell you what. I will debate that. I will have a conversation with this person. I will have a conversation with this person if you agree to go on H3HC's podcast.
Absolutely, sure.
Okay,
but I
tell him to reach out to me. When you do that, I'll have a conversation with this person.
Okay. I am going to be working on
Yeah, but what does that have to do with what we're talking about? None of this is anything to do with what we're talking about. I thought that what we were talking about.
I don't care.
Okay.
No. The reason why it has something to do with what we're talking about is because he started making certain talking about things having to do with Gaza and the genocide and whatnot that I know that Chris Kunzler would be so much more capable of handling. And
he's accused you of not caring about it. He said, this is just a virtue signal. You don't really care about the lives of the Palestinians. I'm interested in your response to that.
I mean, I don't really think that it's like, it's sort of like, when Hutch was watching JD Vance interviewed about, like he was talking about fucking Hassan and the Collargate thing. Hutch said the most absurd fucking thing. One, he did not hold JD Vance
what does this have to do with
I'm lost. Wait, the Collargate stuff? Vadim, I just want, can you repeat that again? Sorry, I'm genuinely lost. What is the Collargate and JD Vance? I missed it.
I'm saying that, like, in that situation where he was watching JD Vance talk about Collargate, JD Vance said like the most ridiculous things about it. He said like, this is the type of thing that serial killers do. And Hutch's reaction there was like, why didn't you address his points? And the reason for that is that like why you shouldn't is because they're just bad faith arguments. They're bullshit. Sometimes you don't want.
So you're going to come on the podcast and not engage in the stuff that I asked you?
Wait, Hutch, did you say serial killers use the electro collars?
I probably said some bullshit.
No,
I don't know.
JD Vance said that.
JD Vance.
Oh, JD Vance said that. Well, what does this have to do with anything, Vadim?
Nothing. It has nothing to do with anything.
Because that was a situation in which he thought that Hassan should be obligated to speak to a manipulative like tactic, and I feel the same way here. I just I don't feel like I have to prove that I care about Palestine.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah. I would prefer us not to have the conversation about genuineness, but like I would rather just get to the issue. It just does feel like it's an inconsistent standard to like blame Hutch substantively for genocide.
What I'm saying is not that that I would never go out of my way to blame him, but if I'm going to create some sort of hierarchy of blame,
I get more blame for the genocide than Rashida Tlaib gets for Kamala losing?
Yes, because of the fact that you manufactured consent, that you you contributed to a culture that did not take it seriously.
Really? What did I say about it?
On that view, you're responsible for the election too, right? I mean, on that view, you guys manufactured a consent for a situation which you think is directly related to the reason that Kamala lost the election, the reason we're in this place.
When you're telling people to still go vote for Kamala anyway.
Wait a second.
Ogre boy.
That's not what happened.
Would you vote for Kamala if you could do it after 1 year of Trump and what you've seen?
Don't take it back now. You already said you changed your mind.
No, I appreciate if you take. I appreciate if you take it back. I mean, I think that's good. Like I want to make sure that there's like a common understanding.
I meant like he told me that you convinced him that he should have voted for Kamala, and now he's like hesitating because he's afraid of getting gotcha. I don't know what it is.
Wait, hold on. Say that again, because you got cut off.
Dude, now that you've seen 1 year of Trump, now that you've seen 1 year of Trump,
stop. Shut up. Hutch specifically, what the fuck did you just say?
You told me that Pisco convinced you that you should have voted for Kamala. And then IRI asked you, should you have voted for Kamala, or do you wish you would have? And now you're like hesitating. Why?
No, I said yes after 1 year. Sure. Yeah.
So,
no, he's hesitating because I think he's hesitating because like we're all of us are like attacking them. So I mean, I understand. I just think that you should own it. I think you should just own it, Ogre Boy. And I think that's fine to do.
But that's not the argument. That's not the argument.
What do you mean?
There's this overwhelming urge to try to put it off on anybody but the fucking candidate. That everybody else has.
With the Ogre Boy, the whole point is,
oh my God, mute the fuck out of me into oblivion, or I'm gonna finish my fucking statement.
All right, finish. Sorry.
This constant thing, and especially this was one of the I don't have a big interest, believe it or not, and everybody across the internet and lib circles is about to scoff. I don't have some big desire to necessarily defend Hassan when it comes to the specific argument that you, Soypill, tried to make a couple of weeks ago. This notion that he should be doing everything in his power to get her elected, when my argument is, and on another night, maybe with somebody else, I could maybe have this conversation, is that she didn't do everything in her power to get fucking elected. That is always going to be my point. And the thing I want to see is a fucking Democrat that's actually going to try to do everything in their power to get fucking elected.
Ogre Boy, I'm the most on your side of being able to steelman your argument that you think that if she had done this, she would have got more votes. But Hassan is completely aware. He's a big boy and can say, hey, she's not going to change. It's 2 days before the election. I should tell millions of people to go vote for it.
But at that point, what good does that do? At that point, what the fuck does that do?
What good does it do? It gets to fucking vote for her. What do you mean?
After that much time. Hold on. No.
Yes.
After that much time of watching the candidate. After that much time of watching the candidate not respond to things that everybody else can see with their fucking eyes if they're being good faith, then suddenly they're just going to go, fuck it, let's do it anyway, after that they've been ignored on so many different options?
That's not good. Ogre, you understand that's not a good thing to say.
If you truly think that Hassan not telling his people to go vote for Kamala would not have done anything, then I guess why even bother listening to him about anything? For over a
year, he said that Trump was going to be worse. He educated his audience about the effects of the Abraham Accords. He pointed out what was in 2025 in regards...
This is not enough.
It's not enough.
Yeah, it's like, all right.
I can't even understand. He did more to educate about the dangers of Trump than your fucking bald ass did.
You got to
bro. Take your hat off.
Take your hat
off. Take your hat off. Take his hat. Tell him to take his hat off, or he gets kicked off the call.
Hold on.
Take your hat off.
Let's not do it. Hang on.
No. Come on. Take your hat off, bro. Take it off. Take it off, bro.
Call Hutch bald. I think you have to take the hat off.
Take the hat off.
No, I'm good.
Wow.
I don't hate your audience
Let's not do this. Let's put the bullshit aside. Like, listen. I think that the question is like, is there blame for the candidate? Absolutely. Everyone has their pet critique of Kamala. We've had it. We've had entire conversations about it. Is there blame for people who did not support the candidate? There has to be, right? Of course there is. How can there not be? And we just want to see a consistent approach. And so I don't think that the left cost Kamala the election. That's my view based on the data. I don't think that I'm not convinced that it was this withholding a vote. I think it has to do with what IRI said. It's people perception of Biden's age. It's the prices. It's the fucking economy, stupid. It's that kind of shit. All right. That's my view. But the anger comes when certain people try to like moralize and talk down who never ever signaled that they were going to vote for Kamala or said that they ought to vote for Kamala. That gets people upset.
I think it comes down to. I think it comes down to
you're vote shaming. That's
Shiny. Hold on. Let Shiny.
Wait, no, that would be fine. Wait, that's fine. Wait, Vadim. Yeah, we're vote shaming. But what's wrong with vote shaming? If you voted for Trump, like we would vote shame, right?
Yeah, but in a situation in which people are actively doing something that, I mean, like, again, if they had actually responded in this way, she would have won. I can explain why I think that. It's not because of the fact that I think that like that issue alone necessarily would have like enthused everybody to go to the polls, but it's like I said before, they wanted to see some like huge assertion of her individuality to separate herself from fucking Biden, and doing something that like that one would have like created a lot more like
Vadim, we agreed with this already. This whole podcast agrees that she could have done better.
You would have had would have had lots of people who are influencers who would be like genuinely excited rather than like saying like, oh, you know, like I know things suck right now. And
but what does it matter? What does it matter if influencers?
Pretty please. Instead of that,
you don't need to use that tone. You don't need to go pretty please. All you you can very simply just
what you are
just accurately. No. I've never asked for that. No. All I ask is that people tell the truth, Vadim. Just tell the truth. Donald Trump is uniquely
they did that.
Vadim is Donald
Rashida Tlaib did that.
Vadim is Donald Trump is let's go down this thread one more time here.
That he didn't is bullshit.
I did let you speak. Let's go down this thread again. Let's go down this thread again. Is Donald Trump a fascist, and is MAGA a nascent emergent fascist movement in this country?
Absolutely, which is why she had an imperative.
All right. You made your point. Let me try to make my point, okay? What does that word mean to you? So, like, what is the threat of fascism in America? What's the worst that could play out?
This is just going to end the same way that it always does.
Why don't you just answer my questions, bro? All right, forget it. No,
to do this thing.
It's fine.
We
can move past. It's fine.
And we knew the way to avoid it.
I'm done.
What would it take? Can I ask a question then? What would it take for y'all to regret the posture here, or what would it take for y'all to be on our side? Like, if it were the case that Trump, for example, as he's planning to do, starts a full blown, or at least some people say he's planning to do a full scale war with Iran. If Trump, for example, really is able to institute an authoritarian state fully, such that there's no more elections, at what point, what amount of bad would it take for you to be like, maybe this?
What am I supposed to have done different?
Is there any
ridiculous other than what I've already admitted to?
How is this a ridiculous question?
All right, wait. So
how is this a ridiculous question?
It's a ridiculous question because I obviously do not. I don't. It kind of presupposes that I'm
That
looking
people have
at
a
the
responsibility.
situation in a way that I'm not.
It presupposes that people have a responsibility to do everything in their power to stop fascists from winning.
Yeah, and
Because
I
the candidate.
Because if you
do everything in
understand the
their
word
power. That's
fascism,
what they did. That
because
was a
if you
tactic.
understand what the word fascism means and what the historical
That was a
examples of it
tactic that
wrought
they took.
upon this planet, then you would have to agree that people do have an individual responsibility to do everything in their power to try to prevent that from happening.
Except the
And you
candidate.
undercut the label of fascism. I don't think you actually believe he's a fascist, because if you did, you would do anything to stop him from winning, right?
You will not accept that I believe that by holding out for concessions, they were actually actively doing something.
Donald Trump won.
Which
Great.
is as important as voting.
And Donald Trump won. Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
That happens sometimes when you hold out.
But Vadim,
Well, that happens sometimes. Fascism happens sometimes.
Wait.
Fascism.
Vadim,
Wait. Hold on. Hold on.
But-
Fascism happens sometimes. Is this like a normal thing that just happens sometimes?
No. Fascism.
Well, this was extraordinary. So this was extraordinary, right?
Because morons like yourself did not take the fact that we were engaging in a genocide seriously. You still, to this day, don't take it seriously.
Another pathetic deflection.
You, my friend.
That's why I say you don't care about these people. They're an ornament to you. Their dead bodies are an ornament to you.
You contributed far more to the position that we are in than those who like.
But Vadim, no one's disagreeing that we can't hold our politicians' feet to the fire and say, hey, you guys really need to change up on that. Like, let's say you were right. Let's say Gaza would have won the election. We can say, hey, I can see the wave coming. You guys have to acknowledge this or you're not going to win. But you got to understand that we can criticize these things and also say, okay,
but there's
go
a
ahead,
difference.
buddy.
There's a difference when you spend 24/7 with a scope purely on Twitter leftists versus pointing out the failures of the.
No. He's talking about me right now. The difference here is we have talked at great length on this podcast and me on my own stream about all the myriad ways that I think Kamala Harris could have done a better job in that campaign.
Podcast.
That's the difference. No, it goes
that's
way beyond that.
That's bad faith. Wait. That's bad faith to encapsulate.
Then he can correct. Then let Hutch correct me. He's a big boy. He can talk for himself.
We have gone down this road many times. Okay, the difference between you and me is like I'm willing to have that conversation about Kamala. Anytime I talk about individual responsibility on the part of politicians like Rashida Tlaib or influencers like Hassan Piker, you guys want to deflect the conversation. Yes, you want to deflect the conversation to Kamala. And you don't want to engage in that. In your minds, they have no responsibility, even though in your own words, we face a fascist threat.
He was doing a responsible thing by taking the tactic that he did. That
was responsible. That was responsible.
From here, I've said this a million times. We're just going in circles, and you guys are trying to like.
You think, but just to clarify, you think
I want to hear more of what
to clarify.
I have to say because I've talked to him a lot today, and
you are so fucking pathetic, bro. You are so pathetic. This is so pathetic.
Calm down.
I've said here.
Come on, bro.
What am I?
Baby him. Every time you get overwhelmed, you deflect somebody else. It is the saddest thing I have ever seen in all of my years covering politics.
Can you go like 5 minutes without trying to bait?
I'm not baiting anything, bro. I am not baiting anything. If you tell me that we face a fascist threat, it is totally incoherent.
You're a coward. You can't even.
Okay, great. Yes.
You cannot even. Like,
yes. I get it. Okay.
Wait. He just agreed. No, wait. He agreed to talk to him, conditioned on you doing the thing with Ethan.
All right. That's fine. That's fine.
But you act as though he's unwilling. He gave you the condition, and you said that was okay, and you guys agreed to it. So you going back to it.
You're right. Okay. I rescind the. Okay, but let me ask one more question.
I mean, I was making a point, and then you just decided to interject.
Hutch, recently, you made another video about Collargate, and you and I had a back and forth where you said that I was insane for thinking that Hassan did not, in fact, shock. So I want to ask you, what happened literally 3 minutes after the point that you say that he shocked Kaya? What happened?
I don't know.
Kaya got up and walked out of the fucking room.
What?
And?
That's crazy.
And
that changes everything. Never mind. I take it back. He didn't tape up the back of his
collar.
collar.
I'm sorry. Do you really think that he would
That's the
shock
smoking
her
gun, bro. You got
one
it.
moment, and then just let her go the next. It makes no sense.
Sure.
Why?
smoking
No,
gun,
no,
bro.
wait. Come on. You know the response to that. You know the response to that, Vadim, which is regardless of whether or not you think it's responsible to shock or buzz or whatever it is he did.
No, he didn't do it.
The reason. So there are multiple reasons why he might not, in virtue of the of her walking off and letting her go off. One is because he realized that he had already done it in a very obvious way and didn't want to attract more attention to it. Another is he didn't realize that he was walking off. There are multiple plausible reasons, but you have to contend, I think, with the video evidence.
Bro, are you like seriously, Pisco? Are you just like trying to like?
No. Listen, I haven't made a single video about Collargate. No, stop. This is crazy.
Are you knowingly lawyering me right now?
No.
I don't believe you actually believe.
Listen,
this.
No. You can't accuse him. So listen,
you're backing up your boy.
Are you serious?
No,
no.
You don't watch the podcast if you think that's
what
this
is such horseshit. Like, so my very last stream, my very last stream, I was calling out people for I think misstating what Hassan said in a podcast with Ethan and about settler babies or whatever, and I still hold to that. I want to be clear about that. And so any notion that I'm doing this to curry favor with Hutch is so laughable. If you look at the communities and how much conversations we have, and all I'm talking about here.
So Hutch is your boy, though, right? Hutch is your boy.
No, yeah, he's my boy.
Yes or no? Hutch is your boy.
Then
He is my boy.
rare L for you, where you're just like completely not seeing the forest for the trees. It's like it's just like, I mean, is it within the realm of possibility that it? But it's just no. It's.
Doesn't he take lessons with it? Doesn't he do this for? Why are you granting that it would be a bad thing if he buzzed him? Like I don't even understand. Like what is the problem if he's taking lessons to do this kind of training, which I think he's admitted he did? What would be wrong with that? Why would you say that? Oh, he didn't do it in this instance, especially when it looks like he did.
Well, it is terrible reasoning. Just because all that we saw was he just like reached over for a second at the same exact moment that she happened to move around.
Let me ask you a question.
There's all sorts of fucking things.
Okay, let me ask you.
People reach out for.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. I'm so serious right now because I have a theory that a lot of the people that were backing up Hassan kind of went out of their way to not look at some of the other videos that were uncovered. Are you aware that there's like a supercut video where there's like it's like a Brady bunch, like 9 different boxes of other instances of Hassan like reaching for something and then Kaya like getting back on the mat. Have you seen this? Yeah. So like you don't find that at all like a little bit suspicious?
When you have like a billion DGGers rifling through or searching through every hour,
but you're dodging the point. You don't
looking specifically for those things. You're going to find lots of moments where that just happens to happen in like fucking.
Can somebody help me find that video and we can put it up? Actually, can somebody help me find it? There's a video. There's a video where it's like a bunch of.
You don't have. You know what we don't have? Curiously, we don't have any other situations where Kaya is yelping like she did that one time. Why doesn't she yelp any?
Can you guys help me find the video? Stream chat. There's a video like a supercut where.
Wait, Vadim, what do you think happened? I mean, you don't doubt that he has a collar, which would make that possible, right? And
look.
Why is there electrical tape on the collar?
You guys are just kind of going to something else. I'm talking about this.
You brought up Collargate, bro.
You did. You brought it up.
Yeah, but I'm trying to keep it on this one specific time that you swore up.
I want to talk about all the other times that he reached for the side of his desk and the dog got back on the mat.
He's going to go through the trouble of supposedly shocking her in order
to... But can we cut through it then? Can we cut through it? Do you think it's...
And then 3 minutes later, it's just fine for her to get around and...
Can we get past this? So do you think it's an unreasonable position that someone would have looking at it? Do you think it would be unreasonable for someone to conclude based on that it's a good chance that he shocked the collar or buzzed it? Is it unreasonable to conclude that?
In the one piece of video that I saw where she yelps, she also simultaneously her paw goes limp, and I've seen like if you've seen
it does not go limp.
No, it absolutely does. If you watch the super
version
of it, it goes limp.
Vadim, the question is this: is it like, do you think that the reason we believe this? Because I believe it too, and I'm not even like a mega Hassan hater like some people. All right, I think it looks like it's conclusive. Are we being unreasonable, or are we being controlled by like
haters? Is this like haters?
I think that the point where it gets unreasonable is if you are actually kind of alleging that there is genuine abuse going on inside.
That's not no. That's making it broader, right? Because the question was there abuse going on, the dynamic. The question is simply and only, did he shock or buzz the dog in that context?
Okay,
and the question before you is, would someone necessarily be unreasonable for looking at that and thinking that there was a shock?
This conversation predictably went to like Alex Jones Collargate.
You brought it up.
You brought it up.
Yeah,
Wait,
I was speaking about it in terms of this. Why can't you guys speak to this one situation and admit that
Pisco gave you alternatives as to like why that could be the case?
Yeah. Okay. I'll respond. And so I'm going to list them so you can respond to them individually. One, is it possible or plausible that perhaps he didn't go to shock the dog because he realized that she had yelped already and he noticed it would have looked bad? Is that a plausible explanation for why he would refrain from shocking the second time?
No,
is that
actually,
is it an unreasonable thing?
Hold on. I didn't even want to fucking participate in this aspect of it, but I'll say this. He said later on that he felt bad for how that played out, and that it was like 5 minutes later he went back to check on Kaya. So the idea that he knew that he gave her the fucking jolt of a lifetime and then didn't want to give a second fucking zapparoonie is kind of silly under those circumstances.
Wait, no. That's assuming. That's begging the question. The whole question is, did he zap first, right? So you're begging the question by assuming he didn't, right? The question is, does it disprove that he shocked the fact that she walked away the second time? And the answer is no. And the answer is there are other plausible explanations.
I think you're a little confused about the like what's going on here. I'm not talking about the infamous one time that like she yelped. I'm talking about recently, a few weeks ago, after everything died down.
He did that shit again.
Another video where he insisted that
he did it again, dude. He did. I wouldn't bet my life on it.
This is a separate thing. Is this a separate thing?
He did it again, bro. I don't know what to tell you. He did
then I don't know. Then I don't know. I don't know.
No, let's put it up. Let's put the video. Let's put the video.
You're saying I did it again. You're saying I did it again. Let's didn't even understand the situation.
No. So wait, no. So I don't. So wait. So Vadim is right. So hang on. So Vadim is right. I thought you were talking about the first instance. So is there like a second instance that you're talking about?
Yes. Here. Put it up on the screen.
Why? Who the fuck cares about this shit? Oh my god!
He brought it up. Put that up. Do it. Show that video. Show that video.
All right.
Show that video.
I'm putting it on screen. We're watching.
What does this look like to you guys? IRI and Peace.
Trigger warning.
What does it look like?
Well, I'm not seeing it.
I know. Hold on. Yeah.
Settler fairs that are taking place in a synagogue are actually the bad ones.
Back it up a little bit. Back it up a little bit.
God, I can't believe the protesters that are protesting.
What's he doing?
Against settler fairs.
That looks like he pauses his stream of thought to reach for something and get her back onto the thing.
What's he doing there, guys?
Yeah, and then
doesn't that look kind of funny?
3 minutes later, he just allows the dog.
What did that look like to you?
Why didn't he do it a second time when she got up?
What did that look like to you?
Holy fuck! She responds to being told place. It was an expectation of probably being told to get back on the spot that she was on.
Why is he reaching his arm? Why is he reaching his arm in the same way that he was doing before, bro?
Motherfucker, why did you blank your camera to act like you were jerking off to soy pill the other day? There's a
I was jerking off
because he was jerking off to me.
Who knows it?
For me, I just want to say, I think it's possible he's reaching for something else. For me, it's not as conclusive as the first time. It looks like he's doing place training, right? He's doing place training or something, and I just don't understand. Why is there this like back and forth about these equivocal videos about did he or did he not? Why is this so important to you, Vadim, that shows Hutch's? Because I don't know what's going on with Hutch.
That Hutch is just so like
I'm a big poo caca pee pee head, right?
I mean, let's be real about this. He needs to kind of talk about shit like this because he doesn't have anything like really substantial of real value that people take seriously when it comes to. Yeah, absolutely.
Really? Do you need Ogre Boy to finish this thought too? We were going to get ready. Ogre Boy, get ready. He's going to tag you in soon.
This was supposed to.
You'll let me talk.
Be ready, Ogre Boy. He's going to.
Yeah. Ogre Boy, go ahead.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Go ahead, Ogre.
No. Okay. All right. I was just joshing, but if you're going to walk right into that. All right, go ahead. Let's go.
I've
Ogre boy.
said before,
Tag
when it
in.
comes down to it, there's a lot that you can't touch when it comes to him having something more of an aspirational message and you telling people specifically, lower your expectations, expect less, good things are not possible.
Unironically, I mean, well, not that last part. I mean, we can get it. Like, I wanted to say this.
Do you want to play clips? I have that clip.
No, go ahead.
The bottom line is, when it comes down to it, you need to do something to do some manner of like character assassination and milk shit for that long to try to tell people in turn not to listen to Hassan about Gaza, not to listen to Hassan about Medicare for all,
I don't think you should
not to listen to
anything.
Hassan about a number of political issues, because your political takes, by and large, everybody has any rationale to them whatsoever knows you're like politically wrong for a living, basically.
Really? Was it not just like 3 weeks ago that Hassan predicted that Trump would not invade Venezuela, and then Trump invaded Venezuela like hours later? Wasn't that just like 3 weeks ago?
Even broken clock's wrong twice a day.
There's a broken clock.
Broken clock's wrong every time.
Hassan's a broken clock.
You got it. Something that I wanted to say, and I'll be brief about this. And I just want to explain like my philosophical difference between with you guys, with Vadim, with Ogre Boy, with Hassan. Your first order kind of principle seems to be to change the Democratic Party into a more leftist kind of thing.
No,
and
wrong.
That seems to be like the highest. Well, I'll just speak for Hassan. That's my perspective of him. And below that, he prioritizes beating Republicans. He only opines and throws his weight behind candidates who he personally likes.
So we're finally at the heart of something that's important.
Hang on, I'm almost done. He is not interested in actually like building out a coalition that is best positioned to take majorities away from Republicans and beat them in elections. He is only interested, and he talked about this on his stream just like yesterday. I reacted to a clip from it earlier today. He's very open about like what he wants. Me and him are not, we don't have the same priorities. To me, when I say, when Vadim says fascism, I agree. I think Donald Trump and his movement represent a fascist threat. When I think of fascism, I think of the historical examples of fascism. It's not terribly difficult for me to imagine that potentially happening in the United States. And so to me, that represents such a profound danger that I have to, in order to focus on like triage, I have to prioritize just building out the biggest coalition possible. And yes, that includes like throwing my weight behind center-left politicians in competitive districts.
Hold on, holy shit, holy fuck, no. The issue with what you're doing, the issue with what you're doing is because you're putting the fucking cart before the horse. You constantly point back to FDR, but the reality is FDR had a bold vision. We don't have the bold candidate. We don't have the bold vision. You want to start from the place of already conceding to right-wing Democrats. You want to create a permission structure. Yes, you do. That's the reason that you said the shit about segregationists. It's the reason that you said even in red states that already have really good abortion laws on the books.
You missed the point of it entirely.
Motherfucker, I'm not even done. The
point of it, the Ezra thing, he was not making
interrupting. Holy shit.
You jump in and tell me to let them finish.
Okay, just let him finish so you can respond.
I told them to let you finish, dude. Don't worry.
The bottom line is, when it comes down to it, you are mad. You are mad in your soul that fucking Manchin got bullied. You in turn want the party to create a permission structure to put their arms around right-wing Democrats because you think that just inflates the numbers. But you don't have the bold candidate. You don't have the bold policy. You just want to create the same sort of fucking roadblocks that we have on the SCOTUS,
even if you grant,
Senate and in the House.
Even if you granted that, even if you granted that, right? Let's just grant that he wants to make these kinds of political alliances because he views it's more electorally feasible. Even if you granted that with the right wing, isn't that no more or less than what you're proposing? You're basically saying that you should walk arm and foot. I don't know what the fucking phrase is. That we should walk with more left wing candidates, and that's more politically feasible. And so, I don't think you can attack him.
No,
Why?
I want decent fucking public servants that are going to listen to what the fuck their people and their constituency actually want, and then move forward with that. That's it. That's that simple.
Wait, and you think Hutch doesn't, right? And you think Hutch doesn't? And you think Hutch doesn't?
No,
you think Hutch doesn't?
No. He doesn't
not at
care
all.
about the policy. He just wants to make sure that there's more people, even if it is a fucking Republican that
It's not true that I don't care about policy.
You've
That's
already
not-
said this.
No.
You've already said this on your stream.
But
you
you're
have turned
misunderstanding.
around and said
You did
if a
say you would vote for
Republican-
Epstein. You did say you would vote for
said
Epstein.
you would-
I did, and I stand by that. But you're
I've
wrong.
asked you to your face.
You're wrong.
I've asked you to
Mike
your
from PA
face.
responded to me. He's like,
If a
Hutch said he would vote for Epstein. I'm like, what? And
If
then
a
I remember he
Republican
did.
re-registered
Yeah,
on
I
a
would.
Monday, and on Wednesday registered as a Democrat, changed none of his positions whatsoever, and still would have ended up being a obstructionist element, would you support that person by virtue of the fact that they're a Democrat? And you said yes.
If it
but
meant,
Ogre, you
if
can't
it
get mad
meant
at Hutch
winning in the
saying that
seat-
you
well,
are
now you're
using-
interrupting me. It's fine.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Whatever. Everybody can just fucking punch down
No,
on me.
go ahead.
Just bald.
No, I was
shiny
going
head
to
me.
defend you. I was
No,
gonna-
listen. The context means everything right now. When I say that I would welcome even a center right Democrat, I'm obviously talking about in districts that would make them competitive. That's what I'm saying. I'm
Do you
not
want
saying
political pressure
hang
to
on,
be able to
hang
be
on,
applied to those candidates?
hang
Yes or
on,
no?
hang on.
Ogre,
I'm not saying that we should replace the entire party with Joe Manchin's. It's
You
so
can't see 2 feet in
dishonest.
front of your face.
Ogre, let him.
What are you talking about? It's so dishonest to suggest that my ultimate vision is to turn the Democratic Party into a conservative party. First of all, the Democratic Party of today is wildly to the left of the Democratic Party that existed when I was growing up. Any kind of suggestion that they've broadly moved right is just nonsense. And going back to your previous point, you keep up bringing up FDR. You always ignore the fact that FDR was able to do what he was able to do because he was springboarding off of a Great Depression. And he had super majorities in Congress. And a third of those supermajorities were racist segregationists. According to you, though, my current electoral strategy is evil, so I assume you would have opposed FDR forming a coalition with those segregationists.
What did I say 5
right?
minutes ago? I said you're lacking
hang on.
bold,
Answer my
the
question.
bold
Answer
president
my
is willing to
question.
move forward. You're rephrasing something I didn't say.
But you're comparing
missing the
FDR,
candidate
who
and the
had
policy.
85% control of the Congress, to
You're
Joe
wanting to
Biden,
recreate the
who
wheel
had
in
a
the wrong
50
direction.
Senate, bro. It's not an appropriate comparison. It doesn't make any sense.
Vadim, you raised your hand when Hutch said that this wasn't the most left the Democrats have been.
Okay,
I think that's true. So do you disagree?
I have two things. Yes, I disagree, but I really, more than anything, I want to point out that Hutch, you are not an ally of the little guy. You identify yourself as an abundance liberal. Abundance is overwhelmingly funded by Koch brothers affiliated groups.
What is abundance? What does it mean to you?
What do you mean? What is
the philosophy of abundance?
It's also they are fundamentally.
What is abundance?
Dude, let me speak. Okay. The abundance is also the people who fund it are also overwhelmingly anti-union. And lastly, just recently, Bari Weiss
funded abundance.
When she
funded abundance. What are you talking about?
When Bari Weiss recently appointed 18 new bullshit artists for to CBS. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about the way that she has completely wrecked CBS. She chose not Ezra Klein, but I forget his name, Derek Thompson. He is joining all of these COVID deniers and just the absolute not COVID deniers. I'm sorry. Vaccine deniers and whatnot, and that's
kind of a guilt by association argument. Do you really? I mean, I have my problems with
Derek Thompson. The whole book is about how much he likes COVID vaccines, right? He thought it was amazing.
Yeah, there was 100%.
His chapter specifically. Dude, so by the way, Derek Thompson's chapters specifically were about
hiring you is the kiss of death. There is no.
Wait, hold on, Vadim. Did you read it? Did you read the book?
Look. I'm not going to go into.
Did you read the book?
I have another point.
You're not going to go into that. Did you read the book?
Derek Thompson's chapters? Derek Thompson's chapters.
I've listened to a lot of people who I think are far more.
Why don't you read the book before opining on it?
Dissecting it than you. And by the way, like
you're deflecting to other people again. By the way,
you should.
Other people can make your arguments for you. Apparently,
call into. I'm not an abundance expert, so I'm not going to go into
talking about it.
But Vadim, if you're going to call, because I consider myself pro abundance. If you say abundance is like, oh, we're not for the little guy. I mean, like I think the arguments are pretty salient, and to say that we somehow are like anti small people because, but you haven't like you don't understand what the arguments of abundance are.
I think that you are attaching yourself to a movement that
you don't even know what the movement is. You really don't. What is abundance? What is it all about?
Dude, I'm not going to get into
what. What is abundance?
If you're
saying it's bad, what is it?
The very sensible fact.
You're saying it's bad. What is it? What is abundance?
Not just the kiss of death. It's the kiss of oblivion to be funded.
No. I mean, that's not true. Hang on.
To be funded, but anyway, I have another point that is more.
I want to address this because there's some interesting things you brought out. Some of which is true. Yes, it's true that there are some sort of like people who are pushing abundance and who are like, wow, this is a great idea, who are like unsavory people who are just deregulation bros. I mean, that's true. But, and we don't deny that at all. But there's just like a need to drill down on specifically what aspects of the perspectives that you disagree with. So for Derek Thompson's chapter specifically, he emphasizes how awesome it was for the COVID vaccine as a way to sort of stress the importance of public funding for new technologies, et cetera, et cetera. And that seems like a good idea. That seems like totally in line with an AOC type vision, with a socialist type vision to put public dollars, for research and that kind of stuff.
Some things inside of it that are
correct
in there too.
I know. So you started this. So wait, let me just finish. And this will be the last thing. The last sentence, I'll let you talk. Last sentence, I'll let you talk. You started this whole thing about thought terminating cliches, and I'm like, I don't like thought terminating cliches. One thought terminating cliche is abundance. Oh, just fucking Koch brothers. I think that's a thought terminating cliche.
That's fine. I think that what I brought up is more than understandable to like just kind of as like a huge red flag. How about this, guys? Since I do not feel at all competent to talk about this, I could write Sam Cedar, right? Like we.
Oh my god,
100%. No, I'd love that.
To talk about it.
I would love that.
We talked to Sam about abundance. I saw his stuff, but that's declined. But I guess the point is, I don't like if you call Hutch or me, because I am an abundance person for the most part, to say like we don't care about the little guy when it's like.
I think that you are. I mean, I think probably you very much think that you're helping the little guy, but I think you're attaching yourself to a movement that, at the end of the day,
you can't even tell me what the movement is, Vadim. You don't know what it is.
That's kind of the problem
I didn't
with the
say
book,
it in
though.
order to have.
What do you mean?
Oh my god, Ogre! What the fuck?
About?
Wait, that's the stupidest response I've heard all day, Ogre. You're like, the problem with the book is no one knows what it's about.
Well, by and large, any interview that Klein's done on it, the idea of trying to drill down on a boogeyman across the board about what the movement is trying to attack, he's never specific on.
Well, no, it's not a policy. It's not a policy book.
Exactly.
No, but it's not trying to be. It's not trying to be a policy
enough
prescription.
People that are trying to treat it like it is a policy prescription and overall movement. It is the thing that I'm the more concerned about more than anything else is the idea of the deregulation piece, because it always seems to go in one direction.
Well, listen, I have my critique. I'm not full on abundance, Bill. I'm like 70% on some of the stuff. Like, I don't agree, for example, some of the critiques of the BEAD funding that was done in some of these interviews afterwards. I think some of these are unfair critiques at Biden. And I think that some of the, I'm skeptical of some of the anti-environmental regulations on some fronts, especially in a world where Trump, doesn't have many guardrails. I'm concerned sometimes that the streamlining might have a negative consequence when it comes to authoritarianism. So there are some critiques I have of it. And but in general, I don't think it's enough, and I don't think it's good analysis to just be like guilt by association. That would be like saying you have to dismiss everything Hassan says because he has some like insane friends who say some insane shit, and you wouldn't accept that. You shouldn't accept this either.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I think it's salient and good to be skeptical of like, why would the Koch brothers fund this? And it could be because of some malicious, Machiavellian plan to destroy like the left wing, but it also could be because they would make money off of housing, which, is, I don't like that the Koch brothers make money off of that, but I'm fine if it means that more people get more affordable housing. And I do think that is a condition of something that would happen. And just to be clear, like as someone who lives in the Bay Area, like I don't like the idea of regulations just being stripped away willy-nilly, but there's definitely a problem over over-regulation to the degree that it doesn't allow us to build housing in San Francisco, and it sucks, and I wish we had a way around it.
The issue with that becomes it really is something that needs to be judged on a case-by-case basis. There isn't a single
right, like Mamdani is citing abundance too. Mamdani's abundance build. Yeah, okay, cool.
But in the number one salesman of the abundance mindset, the one big debate that he had with Sam, when you pause the video and actually look into each one, and yes, I am psychotic enough to have done that. He misrepresented every single story.
Ezra had some big fuck ups when he was critiquing Biden. And I actually think Sam Cedar.
No, hold on, no.
What?
Before you go down that road, that's not what I'm talking about at all. All of the different examples where he was talking, with the exception of one, which he still misrepresented, but the different examples where he was talking about the Sunshine Movement suing to stop solar panels in Maine. Well, there was a story behind that too. They wanted to make the project take a little bit longer to make sure that the deforestation that was going to happen actually was what was required for the moment, that it wasn't something that was bigger than what it needed to be. A lot of these circumstances actually have a story behind it, but the idea of vilifying all of it across the board is really fucking stupid. When when the overarching backbone of how it's pitched is to try to make sure that developers can get the most profit out of something,
well, what do you make of
something that's going to throw up a red flag.
So what do you make of the China glazing from so many people in the online left space? I'm just curious. Do you think it's appropriate to like glaze them for their infrastructure?
I mean, there's always something that we can take away from other people. That's one of the reasons that this country is supposed to be great, right?
Well, why do you think they can do all that infrastructure?
It sounds like you're more open to fucking Chinese, great whatever theories as opposed to abundance. Like you're more like, oh, we can take this and that and then whatever. And
why I think the over reliance on like public-private partnerships and the willingness to just step forward and say fuck it and we're going to build something even if it's by the government themselves, I think is fine.
Wait, but Ezra says in abundance that he wants. One of the examples he uses is these situations where it's pure public funding. You would hope that those would be like the best examples of government. So it's not the case that he wants to abandon public funded projects. In fact, it's the opposite. At least if you read the book.
And also, I don't know how much I haven't investigated this deeply, but my understanding is that Chinese regulations are way more relaxed than ours, and that's why you see a lot of fucking buildings collapse over there and stuff like that. No, I don't want to be that much like China, but I think that we don't have to be as strict as we are.
I want something that works for us, but it's not to say that the principal factor needs to be something where we put the concerns about profits for developers first and foremost. That's not the overall.
I'm so glad you said
it's the message of
but that's
abundance.
also something that Klein uses to sell the idea of the book.
One of the things that he points to is China's abilities. And so when you say, yeah, there's some things that we could look at China for, Ezra agrees with that. In fact, the fact that like they price in fraud or some amount of, people who are going to take advantage into the overall scheme is something that someone like Ezra would say, yeah, that's worth it if it gets to the actual goal. So the whole point, I think, of bringing up the China example, maybe this was Hutch's point, was to how you frame who you look to, whether it's China or whether it's abundance, is doing a lot in terms of how sympathetic you are to hearing the argument out. And I think that is a little bit telling. It's telling that the association seems to be doing a lot of the work here.
I'm just going off of the examples that Klein himself gave. When he turns around and says that I don't like it if people's apartments give them asthma, but I do need people to have apartments. It's a virtue signal to basically say that like we should be considering the desires of the profitability of developers over like the little guys' actual needs.
He's not at all implying that it's like, well, if they get asthma, it's fine as long as they have housing.
Yeah.
Like that's not
a
even
direct
close to what he says in the book.
That's a direct quote.
No, I know, but the implication of that quote is not. I guess asthma is fine. He's saying there are obviously concerns on either end of this, and yes, we have to consider the health of people. But if you have all of these regulations and everyone's stepping over each other to be like, well, the steps need to be this high and you can't hurt this bird nest. Unfortunately, projects never get created. So you have to look, and he's talking about not stripping regulation completely, but going through with a comb and saying which of these things are absolutely necessary and which of these things are actually preventing housing from being built. I think last year, like halfway through the year, 15 new homes were built in San Francisco. It was fucking atrocious. And that's the reason no one can afford anything anywhere.
Mamdani talks about this shit when he is going on the street and saying, "Isn't this crazy that these fucking people who are selling halal food, whatever, right?" Like, yeah. He has a bunch of these examples. Like Mamdani, I think, has been brilliant in terms of his rhetoric and how he frames it. But there's nothing inherently wrong with it. And what I hate is the kind of reflexive, let's just dismiss it because it's Hassan, or let's just dismiss it because it's Mamdani, or let's just dismiss it because it's Ezra Klein. And crucially, that's what I try not to do. When I see Hassan giving a take, when I see, a centrist giving a take, I do try to hit it for its merits. But sometimes it really does feel at the left, some people on the left, which I consider myself part of the left, will see who is making the statement and reflexively reject it. But yeah, no, that's
what I'm doing. I started from a position of looking into each one of the claims that he made in numerous of the conversations that he's had about this, and they don't pan out the way that he's presenting it. That's my issue. So it's not like it's not. I'm sorry. Last thing, and let Vadim talk. I apologize, but that's where I'm coming from. It's the point of view of here's why these things matter. This is why it's important. Here's the examples I'm going to use. And when you take the time to go through each fucking example, it doesn't pan out the way he's saying. So as long as it's like you say that the protections for the little guy are actually protected, things of that nature, cool. I'm fine with it. But that's my fear, is that it's a Trojan horse for like Reagan style deregulation.
Sure. That's healthy skepticism.
I guess I was just going to say that I agree with you that sometimes just if it comes from a bad source, that it shouldn't be dismissed out of hand for that reason. But the reason why I brought up the points that I did is because I think that it speaks volumes when you see who in positions of power are funding a certain thing and who in positions of power who have awful reputations and have an agenda, like Barry Weiss with CBS, are partnering with those who are architects of the movement that you're part of. I think it should.
Well,
we hate Barry Weiss.
Well,
it might not, and that alone, I'm not saying that alone is like a, it's not any sort of like death shot, or, you get what I'm saying, but I think that it's a plausible red flag at the very least.
Sure. I mean, it could plausibly create skepticism. That's fine. But surely you would agree that sometimes you can have overlapping interests between people that you align with and maybe some right wingers, right? Like, for example, like, how do you feel broadly about the Cato Institute?
Most of the time, I if I'm getting, you know what, I know that I've heard the name.
It's a right-wing think tank.
They're like a right-wing. They're like a right-wing libertarian think tank, but they're also like
they're probably bad news.
Okay, but they're also like super pro-immigration, right? So that's overlap with like the leftist position that we should be massively increasing our immigration. So it's fine to be skeptical, but you seem to be closing yourself off to the possibility that sometimes good policy that has good outcomes could overlap with, like, people that you find to be unsavory, right?
I mean, Kamala said the wall was a good idea, so we do need to be open to.
Oh my God!
Why are you doing this? See, like, the thing is, it's not just that you disagree in terms of Kamala's position; it's that you're so fucking smug about it, Ogre. Like, you're basically suggesting. Yes, he is. In that moment, what is he doing there? You're trying to twist the knife, and you're trying to be like, haha, Kamala lost. What a fucking joke. Like, it doesn't sound like someone who's turned a new leaf and realized how horrible things are and that he should have voted. It sounds like you're trying to twist the knife.
It's a silly point too, by the way, because Democrats have never opposed like any structures or fencing. That's been the standard Democratic position for decades. Donald Trump's proposed border wall was a border wall that stretched along the entire southern border, which is like 2,000 miles and completely unworkable in many locations because there's like mountain ranges, there's eminent domain issues with people's property. But the Democrats have never opposed like any kind of structure. And what was in that bipartisan border bill was funding that was appropriated by the Congress in 2019. And it was just assurances that that money would be spent on border wall. And it was pushed out to like 2028.
I watched you watch this video this week. You went out of your way before she ever got to the statement to try to defend it reflexively. The optics.
Are you going to respond to what I just said?
Suicide.
Are you going to respond to what I just said? Are you going to respond to what I just said?
He's saying you do that all the time.
He's not, but you're not responding to what I just said. Like the idea that Kamala Harris supported Donald Trump's border wall is not true. It is false.
She said.
That said, I think there's a way you can phrase a critique, which I would accept. I just want to give Ogre what he wants. There are ways in which you can phrase a critique, which I would accept, which are Democrats have been much too accepting of the framing and rhetoric on immigration. That's even something Hassan has said, which I agree with. But how you say it, I think this is the kind of thing that sometimes you guys do. How you phrase it is so fucking annoying. Like, yeah, you can just say they shouldn't have voted for Lake and Riley Act. You shouldn't have made this policy position. That's all well and good, but go for it.
Anderson Cooper specifically said that you've been talking against this wall for the last 8 years, calling it a narcissistic monument to a bigoted.
Yeah, he was wrong to frame it that way.
And she in turn said, I'm not going to turn down a good idea regardless of who it comes from. She was specifically talking about the wall. That was a moment
She was obviously responding.
That was a moment in time when a lot of people that she was trying to appeal to by going on tour with Liz Cheney, that she was trying to appeal to, that they looked at what she was saying and saying, she doesn't mean anything. She's not being serious. There's no convictions.
Come on.
Are we going back to the Kamala?
She lost a lot of the purchasing power that she had in trying to appeal to those moderate independents in the first place.
But when I asked you, and I hope you have a better answer for me, and I would actually, you know what, Vadim, let me ask you a question. And it's not a gotcha. I just want to know. Let's say
I don't believe you. Go on. Go on.
Can I just say I agree with Vadim there. I don't believe you either, Hutch.
I just want to say quickly the January 6th, the team up with Liz Cheney was over January 6th.
Okay, wait,
hold on. Vadim, I want to confer with my tag team partner here for just a moment. What he's about to ask you is how do you dig yourself out of a hole that you yourself created in the first place by putting a major issue on the back burner? Take it away, Hutch.
No. Okay. What I'm asking you is when AOC, let's say she runs, when AOC is on the debate stage and she's up against her Democratic primary opponents, and the moderator asks her, and they're going to ask her this question. They're going to say, the border got really chaotic under Biden. The public largely turned on the Biden administration. It was the number 2 issue. People were very concerned about border security. Many people voted for Donald Trump because they wanted more border security. Do you think that Biden handled that well? And if not, what would you do differently? What would be your policy that you would implement if 800,000 people per month start showing up at the border?
Honestly, I think that that's like a little out of my depth. I'd have to kind of do some research to really. But I will say one thing quickly, which is just that I believe that we need to continue to, like, I'm not sure if this would have been the right thing for him to say in the moment, but I support creating more paths to
position.
And also
True.
I think that.
Wait, would you grant that was Kamala's position?
That was Kamala's position, right?
And I also think that they actively needed to, in a very, very substantial way, to speak against the propaganda that they ended up supporting in a lot of their. I mean, there's no
what propaganda? What propaganda did Kamala support?
Well, I mean, I'm talking about like for instance, that ad that where she was, you know what? I'm like so fried.
Are you talking about the she was for they them, and then she had to distance herself from the promoting.
No, I thought this was about the border.
Trans surgeries.
You know what, guys? I'm really fading fast. I have certain limits. 3 hours is a lot for me, and I'm just not able to.
20 minutes is a lot for you.
Hey, no, hang on. One second. I mean, listen.
It is a lot.
Fuck him.
Wait, no, but if you
so out of line this whole time, and I'm going to throw a jab at him, and you're going to clutch your pearls.
No.
You've been belligerent against me the whole time, bro.
Come on.
That's fair. You can do that. I grant you that. But I will say that I mean, I don't think you just maybe after we talk. This is over. Talk with Soy Pill about my medical issues. It's not bullshit. It is not bullshit at all.
Is being a fucking prick one of the side effects of your condition?
No, but that's not what he's talking about.
What is him?
What he's talking about has to do with his stamina for doing it, not about him being a prick earlier. I mean, that's the difference.
It's really it's very much about that. I'm okay with
sticking around for maybe like another 10-15 minutes, I do have one point that I want to make, which is outside of all this, which I don't think is going to provoke a very long conversation. So at some point I want the ability to say that.
Hit it.
But
Let's do it now.
but I would okay, we could, but I would like, if it's cool, I would like to, because I feel like I talked over Ogre Boy more than I should have.
We're so far past whatever
like,
I was.
Yeah, we're good.
It's
good, dude. Yeah, just
go ahead.
Let's do the last point.
Are you sure? I'd like to open it up to. Okay, that's fine if that's how Ogre Boy feels. I just want to say this because I know, Hutch, I know you're going to rewatch this and kind of give your 2 cents on all this, which will undeniably be a whole bunch of bullshit. But I wanted to specifically to speak to you. You asked me to reach out to Ethan Klein. I will in the future when I'm working on a video that's probably going to be a little while before it's up. I want to make sure that you know that. But the other thing that is even more important that I wanted to convey here is that just so you know, there's this like misconception that I dodged Ethan. And I don't know if that is kind of like where you were coming from with asking me to talk with him. Like basically on the show, he presented it like I was dodging him. He refused to, like, he cropped out our messages in order to make it look like I was ducking him, and I absolutely was not. So I just want you to know that when you are discussing it, so that you're not basically like spreading some BS, like this guy is calling me a pussy, but he wouldn't talk to Ethan. That's not the case. So
tell Ethan to stop dodging me, Hutch. Tell Ethan to stop dodging me. I mean, that's more important.
Well, I don't know why didn't you go on the show if he invited you?
He invited me. He told me that I could come on anytime that I wanted, and I made the thinking about it, just remembering the details. I made the date with them, and then something came up on my end. I wrote them and said that I couldn't make it. And then literally 1 minute after that, I wrote like, but I want to reschedule as soon as possible. Give me a list of dates, like something like that. It's on like Donkey Kong. And they cropped it right at the point, like literally you can see if you look at the full picture, because it's like Twitter and you can see the like timestamps, you can see that 1 minute after the first message that I sent came the other, and they showed it like in a misleading fashion. And then on top of that, Ethan couldn't even make it himself. They didn't end up doing a show that day. So it's just kind of ridiculous in all sorts of ways. I was not ducking him. If anything, it's the other way around. I made it very clear. I also messaged Dan, you know, the like one of the crew guys, and just kept on saying like, have me on. So I think that is the actual story with that, just so everyone knows.
That was the thing that you wanted to close out on?
Yeah. I wanted to make sure that you knew that. I mean, I guess I could say more substantially that it's my belief, with all of the vote discussion that we had, that that I think that by shaming those who took a principled stand inside that situation, it's my belief that you guys are actually creating more voter apathy by creating this, contributing to this feel of it being kind of like, it's our club, you're in, you guys are out. And I wouldn't feel that way. I wouldn't feel that way if I didn't think that those people were actually doing something active to create a necessary change that they felt like they had to do. Like, again, like
I don't dispute.
I don't think that they worked against the endeavor for Kamala to win. I think that they actively did something to like help the situation, and that's That's the way.
Listen,
Vadim, I don't even shame necessarily Trump supporters in general. I think they deserve it, but like a lot of the times you can embrace these people with empathy and like have them admit they made a mistake. The problem is when these people who chose to do what you say, take a principled stance, then come out and talk shit about the Democrats, like, wow, look how awful this is, and this should have happened. It's like, well, what did you do? And the answer is, in my opinion, not enough. So it's not people that everyone on vote shaming. It's specifically the shit talkers.
I go on the Vanguard. I go talk to lefty people. I go on fucking Crystal and Kyle. I interface with these people in good faith, and I don't at every opportunity say, you know what, Crystal Ball, you really should have endorsed Kamala Harris. I don't do that shit. But it's when people come with this attitude and start talking shit, that's bullshit, and I'm gonna call that out.
Yeah, I respect that. I respect that, but that's like why I'm here talking about this in the first place.
Well,
Hutch
guys, Hutch is trying to talk. Hutch is trying to talk.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Taking initiative on that one. I don't dispute that people like Hassan and people that are kind of in the circles that you guys prefer that have good intentions. Like, I don't dispute that they want good outcomes for people. I don't think they're evil people in service of some kind of evil agenda. I just find
both like we're using dead Palestinian children as an ornament.
I find your tactics. Yeah. I firmly believe that. I find your tactics.
Okay, then spare me the bullshit.
I find your tactics to be completely incoherent. I don't know what principle you're upholding by taking some kind of action to materially assist Republicans winning elections. I don't think that gets you anywhere closer to your goal. And kind of expanding on that a little bit, I don't think it positions you guys to actually extract more concessions in the future, because if the party apparatus views your particular wing of like left-wing politics, or supposedly the Democratic Party coalition, if they view you guys to be unreliable members of the coalition, I don't know why they would prioritize trying to curry favor with you guys over pivoting to the center. I'm saying that you can push politicians when they're in office, and I think Biden is a really fucking good example of this. Like, he was pushed left on a number of issues.
You had an open door with Biden. You had an open door, but not on everything. Not on Gaza, perhaps. Not on everything. But now, where are the protests against the Trump administration?
That way.
After he won, he invited the left wing to be in the discussions about what should go in the ARP. And no, they didn't get every provision. And yes, people like Manchin and Sinema blocked some provisions. And
his domestic policy was influenced a lot by Bernie.
Yes, it was. And Warren and like a lot of the activist groups. You have that opportunity to get those concessions after they win. If you guys continue to do this strategy of we're going to threaten to help Republicans win, I don't know what choice you give the Republican Party, but to pivot to the center.
This is the victory. This is the victory of the Bernie side of the victory of the Bernie wing in 2016 and 2020 manifested itself in Biden's administration domestically, and you don't want to take credit for it, even though it was the most left-wing domestic policy that we've seen in decades, perhaps ever. And so that's what I don't understand. Like, Bernie did something incredible to the Democratic Party.
Bernie did something incredible by hanging on to the last minute in order to get as much concessions as humanly possible.
No,
He
endorsed Hillary Clinton.
He endorsed both Hillary. He endorsed Joe Biden, and it's a great accomplishment of the progressive movement.
Specifically blamed Bernie for staying into the races for as long as he did.
I think
that's dumb.
Yeah, that's dumb. No, well, we can debate that, but I think he cost her 2016. I do think he cost her that. Yeah, but he took a different approach in 2020. Do you realize that? As soon as it became obvious that he did not have a path, he dropped out very immediately after Super Tuesday and endorsed Biden. That was the correct thing to do.
It wasn't immediately after Super Tuesday, but it was obvious.
It was right after.
It was around the time that I believe Wisconsin, if nothing else. There were several.
You might be right. I say right after. I mean, like within
more primaries
a reasonable amount of time.
And ultimately, he did drop out, but it was after the idea of the risk associated with making people stand in lines during COVID and the sort of health toll that was going to take on people.
Well, either which way, that was the correct move to do. And he got a lot of criticism from the left flank for endorsing Biden. A lot of people viewed that to be a betrayal. But I think that itself kind of shows you that people that have that kind of view, I really don't think that they're seriously gaming out the dynamics. And I think it's misguided. I don't think they're evil. I don't think Hassan's evil. I don't think you guys are evil. But philosophically, I don't understand the principle that you uphold by allowing Donald Trump to win, or by not doing everything you can.
Do you actually think in your heart of hearts that the shit that Mamdani did by listening to people a year out, asking what is it your main concern about living in this city, and then making his campaign pillars exactly that, do you actually think that that's leftist or lefty shit or Marxian?
No, I think that's just I think that's just
what
smart.
I want. But you've
but
said
look,
time
but
and
look
time
what
again.
but look what he's doing.
Time again,
but look what he's doing when he has power.
Let him talk. Please.
I'm trying to simultaneously agree with you, but make something that's a very important point. You have said time and time in the past that wouldn't work in other cities, in other states, because it's too blue, it's too lefty. It's not something you can do anywhere else. Yes, you have. You sure as fuck have.
No.
And the idea also, one of the other things that, sure, fuck it. If you want to disagree with that, that's fine, but you certainly fucking have.
No, I said people should adopt Mamdani's approach and take
Nationwide?
whatever. Yes, of course. In any kind of race, I think
but the same campaign.
That's what I was saying. You can't copy paste his policy prescription necessarily, but you should definitely look to him for lessons in terms of interfacing with the public.
What do you guys think? Anything good comes from tonight that we can shake hands on is you turning around and saying that people should adopt Mamdani's approach nationwide. Fuck yeah.
In terms of
interface, what do you fucking think of Mamdani endorsing Hochul, you fucks?
It was probably a little too
Both
soon.
of you, answer that. I don't give a shit. I'm out of here after this. I don't give a fuck about this conversation. What do you think about Mamdani endorsing Hochul?
I am undecided. I think that
that's what I thought.
I think that the arguments that I've heard on both sides are compelling to me, and I've only seen like the Cliff Notes version, so I'd want to engage with it more before I said any more than that. What about you?
What the hell kind of answer is that?
No, I said it was probably a little too soon.
It's an honest answer.
So I have a response to that, Vadim, because I fucking was incredibly incensed at Hochul when she decided not to initiate any kind of action against Adams in response to like one of the most corrupt DOJ actions that we've ever seen. However, even though I was incensed and I said I will never abide by any support of like Hochul, I won't do it. I am not going to, in this moment, say Mamdani I'm going to throw him to the trash because he decided to endorse Hochul, because there's a pragmatism about me, which is if I want Mamdani to achieve his goals, then I understand that there's a window of space and tolerance that I'm going to grant there. And so I have no problem. And I think that should be the attitude, is that we're harm reductionists. And if you want Mamdani to succeed, he needs to have the support of Albany. And so I don't understand why it's the case that this becomes an issue. It's like a lot of lefties, not necessarily you guys, are immune to power and immune to what it takes. And that's one of the things I think could be learned.
Okay, I know you said not you guys, but by and large, we're not the other people that you're arguing with at the moment.
But you're hurting Mamdani.
What you just
said,
him. He endorsed her too soon, so that is who he's
arguing. You're hurting Mamdani by not getting behind him and not finding a reason to support his decisions. Even Mamdani's not good enough.
Why is it that blind support for public?
It's not blind support.
No one's talking blind support. No one's talking blind.
So why are you assuming I don't support him?
Because you're critical of it.
You just said that you don't.
Of it.
How is that? Okay,
you said it's too soon.
I have an opinion that it was probably a little too soon, much in the same way that
But
Hutch
this
said
is the problem.
that the Democrats should have waited maybe another week before they fucking gave in and reopened the government. This is there's no consistency and no through line.
I hereby declare Mamdani belongs to the liberals now. He's ours. Okay, because you guys will turn on him fully at some point. I promise you. I promise you. A certain Turkish American streamer, who I will not name, was today. Hold on,
like turning on politicians.
A certain Turkish American streamer, who I will not name, said today that Mamdani cannot yet be considered a betrayer. That's what he said. Okay. So I feel like
he also
that
said he's
day,
part of the regime, which was fucking insane.
That day is coming where they fully abandon him, and I have been so impressed with Mamdani this whole time. The problem with the Hochul race is that the primary challenger is 50 points behind Hochul. Hochul is plus 15 in the state of New York. Okay, she has the leverage in this spot. He needs her more than she needs him. That's the reality. But I feel like you guys just want to fight every single fight, and you call it principle.
Yep. What the fuck are you doing? I didn't.
All right.
You're truly.
Let's
You did not say.
let's give the Demon Ogre Boy the final word. Guys, give your thoughts on the whole conversation. Tell us where people can find you, what's coming up for you. Vadim, you go first.
I am to be found at Hey It's Vadim on most things, Twitter and YouTube. I'll have my first video in a long ass time, way too long, in a few weeks. And I think you'll hear about it, whether or not you go and subscribe. If I'd really like just to say that, thanks for having me on. Really, I don't have
to seeing you on H3H3.
Anything to kind of wrap this up. I feel like my brain is evaporating in real time right now, but I would like to. Maybe Ogre doesn't want to take the opportunity, but I would like. I feel like there is a thought or two that he didn't get to say over the course of the evening, so I'd like to just give it over to him, and he can take all the rest of my time. Thank you very much.
Hey, Ogre Boy, final thoughts and where people can find you.
My socials are at the bottom of the screen. Basically tonight I really over prepared. Obviously I have pages of notes and links and clips and articles, and all of that proved to be nothing. I wanted to have a substantive conversation about the responsibilities of the candidate versus the voting populace, or especially normies, and instead we did this, and it was what it was. Also, I have to piss like a fucking racehorse, so just glad that this is coming to a screeching end.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. I think what I'll do is I'll remove you two, and then you guys can also everyone else can plug their stuff. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
I'll see you guys later.
Appreciate y'all. Yep. Peace it up.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was the longest Live and Learn episode ever done. Oh, what a fun times. All right. What's going on with you this week?
Nothing exciting. I just want to say the reason why I freaked out on them is because it's this just constant cynicism that they can't get behind anything and get positive about anything. And it's this like death spiral that they're constantly in that will prevent them from getting power and just drags down the left. And this is why I don't engage with these kind of people. And I just leave them to their own misery. The goalposts have wheels. You can never win them over. Even Mamdani's not good enough for them. And it's just, they've got to figure it out, man. They've got to figure it out.
I think one of the saving graces of Bernie not winning, because I did want him to win, is that he didn't win and have everyone turn on him. And even now they are, when it's like, oh, like, how dare you endorse Biden? How dare you like vote for this bill on Israel? And it's like, fuck, like this is the best we have for what our views are. It is very frustrating. Hutch, what's going on with you this week?
Hold on, just real quickly. Finally, I just want to say, you have to go out of your way to find reasons to like candidates. They're never going to check off all the boxes. Never. I voted for Bernie in 2016. I voted for Bernie in 2020. I was happy to vote for Hillary, happy to vote for Biden. I went out of my way to find reasons to support them, just like all the Democrats. They're never going to be perfect. You have to find reasons to support them and put out positivity. That's all I got to say.
Hutch.
I think if everybody on the left had IRI's perspective, we would literally have like flying cars and med beds by now. we would be living in the meme of like, the earth if blah, blah, blah happened. But, so I always appreciate your perspective. I'm glad that you're a part of this podcast, and I want to hear you speak more next time. I feel bad that you were sitting there for like
an hour charging up. He was charging up, shut the fuck up for like 3 hours, and he finally let it out. That was
snapped. I've never heard of snap
release. Like
that. Yeah. I got nothing in particular going on this week. It's just regular streams starting. They're supposed to start at 8:30 a.m. Pacific, but I've been sleeping in a little bit. I'll be live for the rest of the week through Friday, and then again on Sunday.
All right, Pisco, what's going on with you?
Pisco, I also want to say, bro, that energy was crazy tonight, bro. I've never seen it. That was like...
You've never seen me.
No,
this is what's
true.
so annoying because
I'm usually on the receiving end of that, and so I was like,
no. With Lefty specifically, this is the exact energy I brought to Prime Kai. Anytime I hear these same kinds of arguments, which isn't what we were talking about with respect to, for example, the Vanguard. When we brought them on, it was like, how can Biden improve to enact Biden's agenda? Very different conversation than the kind of deflections that we saw tonight. And I I have never been one to like not be very passionate and excited when those like I think bad faith deflections rear their heads. And yeah, so
all he's saying is it's like when Vegeta finally stopped punching Goku and then punched the cell with him, and it's like, oh my god,
no,
Vegeta.
but no, the difference is it's not like I decide cynically when to turn on my anger or whatever based on like who I think has more clout or based on like it's just it comes from within. It's like I hear the thing and it triggers me to sort of stand up and say something. And to be honest, yeah, you have it on full display, which is you can grant that Kamala did something bad. You can grant that, you know, this or that is bad, but the failure to answer the question when asked or to say something like, well, you know, Hutch is responsible for the genocide in a way that like lefties aren't responsible for electoral results when there's way more attenuation between Hutch and the genocide versus like an elected official and the results of an election vis-a-vis their, you know, constituents, etc. I find it ridiculous. I find it absolutely preposterous. And especially when it's like the perfect example of cyclical conversations wherein you think you make progress sometimes, for example, Ogre Boy, but then he starts talking. It's like, well, did we actually make progress? Did you actually recognize that, you know, something wrong happened here? But I would distinguish what you just heard and what you just saw with other people with whom are on the left and where there's, I think, good engagement to be had. So I can understand the cynicism and I understand why people are upset with these kinds of people. I mean, it's not, I get upset too. But no, I get it. For me this week, I might have some interactions, some debates, but more to come. Follow me on Peace Liddy.
Yeah. I guess to wrap up my thoughts, I mean, I agree with all of what you guys were saying. You know, any and all pushback, most of it was just me trying to like make sure you guys weren't talking past each other. But what is ridiculous to me is like the idea that, yeah, these people might not have won the election, but that you can measurably see them driving voter apathy. And go to the comment section on any of these videos, any of the clips, and it's all voting doesn't matter. If voting mattered, they wouldn't let you vote. Ratchet effect. It's like these. Like the Ogre Boy and Vadim have both shared with me an article to show like, oh, this is like talking about the effect of the Gazan genocide on that election. And one of the biggest salient points that I don't think they talk about is that it's hard to get data because a bunch of people didn't turn out. That's the biggest group. It's not, oh, I didn't vote for her because of this. It's people that didn't show up. And a bunch of people don't show up when they think, oh, the parties are the same, the policies are the same. If you can measurably and obviously show the difference between these candidates and then not tell people to go vote, I think you're doing a huge disservice. It's fucking immoral, and it pisses me the hell off. And so that's why I call for anyone watching this. We're gonna go canvass. I'm gonna try to set something up with all these guys. We're making this happen. It's already a 10-point lead. We're gonna blow them out. We're gonna fucking smother them. We're gonna put them in the dirt. All right. So let's put our money where our mouth is.
Punishment. We want accountability, punishment, and that happens when you get a fucking tidal wave, a blue tsunami. We will put these people behind bars. We will try to at the very minimum.
whoa, peace go.
We'll try to.
We'll try to run on that.
Legally. No, hang on. Wait. And I think people misunderstood Hutch too. And this is so crucial in that conversation. Our conversation with Josiah was a part of it, was just about what the president should say. Yep. I never heard Hutch say that we can't say lock him up. I'm going to say lock him up because I think they did crimes. And so I have no problem saying lock him up. And guess what? I do it every fucking week. That was just a very limited conversation about what the president specifically should say in DOJ. So I think that we should.
President, we got this.
Yeah. So for those of you who aren't trying to assume the office of presidency, go wild. I think you all should be talking about locking them up and them being criminals.
Hell yeah. Tomorrow I might go on Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro, but unless I get sick.
Oh, sick.
I'm feeling a little drippy right now. But
I hope you feel better.
Wait, but real quick though, I want to glaze you up a little bit because I thought you did a really good job with Michael Knowles. The other guy.
I know you thought I could. I saw the clip, Hutch. I know how good you thought I did.
You got an ass to make you want to beg for the brown. What can I say?
That's entered my vernacular now. Beg for the brown. That's fucking hilarious.
I got it from the new Naked Gun movie. Just to be clear, but no, the other guy was speaking a lot. The other guy was really impressive, but so I felt like you had a hard time kind of getting in there. But when you did, I felt like you handled yourself really, really well. You seemed were both confident and
yeah, they picked both his topics and I let him kind of have his space and I tried when I can. But yeah, thank you. Maybe I'll go back on. You guys should all try it. They're always recruiting new people. I have a bunch of people now in Discord in the circle like, hey, like I saw you went on Bar Fight. I'm invited. What do I do? So I bet all of you
I might need that because Andrew Wilson is trying to blacklist me. because every time he calls people out for debate dodging, I'm just like, wait, you're debate dodging me, bro. And then he's like, if you keep doing this, I'm gonna tell all my like platforms never to interact with you. I'm like, all right, bet,
Yeah.
fucking bet,
Guy,
dude.
Definitely. And Guy, I think you'd be fucking perfect for that. Like you have the aesthetic and everything, and you just have like the way you demolish Ben Shapiro. Imagine that, but then Michael Knowles is like a huge fucking pushover. Like he just lets you just say whatever he wants, and he has no room to stand on. So do it, guys, and thanks for tuning in, everyone. Sorry, I know some people thought this was painful. I thought it was mostly entertaining, but also maybe not
mostly peaceful.
But we had a good time, mostly peaceful conversation. So tune in next week. Check all these guys out. I love you guys, and vote Dem.
Cool.
Bye, guys.